Alrighty, welcome back. Those of you on Twitch, those of you on YouTube, welcome. We have a gigantic mega patch. It's going to take me at least an hour and a half, to be honest with you, I'm guessing. So let's just talk it all out. So, first thing, biggest change, I think, that I've read, I've only skimmed a little bit. Facets are removed from the game. For those of you who do not remember, a facet used to be a thing that lets you choose how your hero would evolve throughout the game. It might be something small, it might be, I don't even know what this is. Oh. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Sorry, it just had an optional change in the DotA whatever lab. That's not what I wanted. I do see some improvements and bug fixes. Hold on. Oh, okay, they just added some UI stuff. That's really nice. None of it's a big deal. It's just stuff. Okay, anyway, patch, which was, I'll just go back. There we go. So no more facets at all. I love that. I hated them in the first place. I hated having to choose something to make your hero a certain way for the whole game. Innate abilities no longer will scale with other abilities levels. What that means is that some innates would be like, oh, scales with alt level. And so the number of levels you've put into your alt, you know, at 6, 12, 18, would affect the innate. It could be for any ability, but that's what it did. Some of them did that. They just basically said none of them scale with alt because that's stupid. And none of them scale with any abilities. So if they scaled off a different ability, like, I don't even know which ones did it, but if they scaled off like a basic ability, same thing. They no longer scale off of how you skill your hero. All innate abilities that used to scale with other abilities now either provide an unchangeable bonus, which means that they're always the same, so this is what they do and that's it, or they improve on per level basis. Abilities that improve with hero level have base value and incremental value, which might not be the same. Some also have amounts of levels required for increment, and what that means I'm going to show you right here. Abilities that improve each level provide their increment value at level 1, which means that so like maybe somebody's ability does 2. It takes 2 levels for it to increase, and every 2 levels it increases. That's what they mean by increment. Add a UI icon that shows you which parameters increase with hero level and what is the current value. So meaning you can check and it'll tell you what your current value is. Some non-innate ability might have this per level UI as well. Meaning if there was some other ability that would scale with your level, if some hero had one, it would show you the same way. Abilities that had per level up scaling changed to be per level. This mostly affects heroes reworked in Update 7.40 and Largo. Flag bearer creep experience bounty was increased from 57 to 60. That just means that getting the bounty by making sure the flag bearer creep is not denied is even more important than before. The first extra, it says +1, I want to be clear about this. The first extra siege tank, the siege creep, that goes with the other siege creep. So every so many waves, a siege creep will come down the lane. The first extra siege creep, so there's 2, which all of us are familiar with if you've had a game that lasted longer than 35 minutes, now starts at 30, which means it's earlier that there'll be a double siege creep wave, 5 minutes earlier. That should make games go faster, because it means pushing, big pushing, happens faster. Because a double siege creep wave helps push a lot. Now, in addition to that, they've added an all-new second additional siege creep, making a triple wave that starts at 60. This is going to make games that last forever way less common, because now you can get a triple siege creep lane and push with it. And even if the team fights you and focuses on you, your siege creeps, the 3 siege creeps, might take whatever the objective you're trying to take anyway. So I think this is to shorten games, and I like this a lot with the siege creep changes. Adjusted the meeting point of the lane creeps towards the off lane. So what that means is the creeps where they meet, like think about bottom lane. So if you're Radiant, bottom lane. Before, it's real close to your tower. It's moving just a little farther away from you on both sides of the map though. Now off-lane creeps are slightly slowed upon leaving the base for a couple seconds, and safe lane creeps are slightly accelerated upon leaving the base for a couple seconds to make this change happen. It doesn't happen because of some other like spawn timing. They didn't want to mess with when they spawn. They just wanted to change how fast they get to lane to adjust this change. Both of these changes are effective until the 7:30 mark, which means eventually it'll start going in safe lane's direction, which is actually really bad because 7:30 is early enough, but it does mean that as soon as you want to push against the safe laner, it's easy for the offlaner to take tower, because then the creeps will start pushing back exactly when you want them to. So it's a buff to offlane, nerf to safe lane. I think it's necessary, though. It's very difficult to play offlane right before this patch, in my opinion. I still like to do it, but it's difficult. All selections of currents now give a max movement speed of 150. So previously, it was only provided by sections on the base and near it, while other sections provided max bonus of 100. So they just uniformly made it so that going in the current always gives you that increased max movement speed. Like a particular bonus of 150 is the point. Maximum if you're going in the correct direction. Big Tormentor changes. So, Tormentor spawn preferences switched. Now it starts, is it going to tell me? In the bottom instead of the top. Switched. The shield base barrier, that's its shield that it has on top of its, like, no health, is now 3,000 on base. That's huge. A whole 1,000 health right off the bat. Its upgrade per minute increased from 20 to 50. Right, that's more than double. The regen that it gets, because it gets a regen to its own shields, it did 40 per second, which makes it very difficult to hit the Tormentor, stop, and then hit it again. Now it halved it to 20. So it had a bigger shield, but technically now, like, if you did have to take a small break and heal real quick, it wouldn't heal quite as fast. The regen upgrade per minute, though, like how much it scales across time, went up 1.5. So eventually it's going to catch itself up, right? Because 1.5 to 20, yeah, 10 levels in, you're already over that, right? Reflect base damage reflection percentage was decreased from 50 to 30. So basically, it reflects a bunch of damage to your team. Now instead, it's much lower to start, right? It's a base. Doesn't have to do with the scaling, but that just means it's a lot easier to not die while doing it. I think that's very nice. Reflect radius can now be seen by holding Alt. I think that's cool. The Shining base damage, which is the radiance like Aura has, was decreased from 60 to 20, so it's not as big. But the Shining damage now increases by 2 per minute. So obviously that means that 20 minutes in, it now balances out, and any longer than that, it'll have actually more of a Radiance Aura. But earlier Tormentor will be easier, is really what this comes down to. Since a lot of the base values were cut, now, even though the shield went up by 1,000, it just will be easier to take Tormentor early, harder later. It now has 25% status resistance if you're doing anything that would debuff the Tormentor and give it like a, damage amp or something. Like if you're doing something like Corrosive Haze Onslaught or something to make it faster, it does purge those things off faster. It no longer deals damage to neutral units at all. So if you have a neutral unit that runs near it, it won't kill them. Changing to Shard. Player that got Aghanim Shard will no longer receive 175 gold. So when you take a Tormentor, it gives gold. So it just gives less now. So instead of giving everybody more because one player doesn't get it, they just don't get it. If all players have Aghanim Shard, it gives different gold amounts. They nerfed that too. Rashawn's Pit has also changed, so now he begins in top, because obviously Tormentor now begins in bottom and they're always opposite, so they just swapped. Wisdom Shrines and Lotus Pools now reverse their countdowns if heroes from opposing teams enter the area instead of pausing the countdown. So what does that mean? So this actually happened in a game recently. It was, I believe it was actually before the patch dropped, because I did 2 games. One was before patch, one was post-patch, but we just didn't have time to look at the patch yet. I hate doing that, but we did. The pre-patch game, we fought over a Wisdom against Axe, me and Sonic. And it was hard for us to contest it because basically they had already had the timer ticking down. So if we left for a millisecond, they just get it. They just get the Lotus, right? That's how it works. So if you stand there and it's like tick, 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 and someone else comes in, if they go up for a millisecond, wherever you were, whatever time was left, it'll immediately tick through that. So it allows you to get it faster. So they're changing it so at the moment as somebody else contests, an enemy hero contests, it completely resets it. So now you can kind of dip, like dip in and out, and they won't get the Lotus until you stop dipping in and out. Wisdom Shrine experience was changed from 280 per interval to 200 base, but 300 per subsequent shrine. So what that really means, since 280 was a lot, inevitably you're just going to get less from most wisdom for most of the game. Since wisdom shrines come every 7 minutes, it's going to be quite a lot. Because the difference of starting with 80 less, right? So you start with, it used to do 280. So we're only getting 20 more, right? So we're gaining 20 every level beyond the first. But we lose 100 right off the bat. So that means on the 5th shrine, you even out. Now, they start at level 7. So that means that level 35, if I did my math correct, is equivalent. Everything before that is less by a little bit. After that, then it's actually more. So why does this matter? Well, oftentimes late game wisdom shrines feel like they don't matter comparative to the amount of experience you need to level. So even if it nerfs the early buff, it's going to really value at the end when you just want to hit your level 25 or something with a wisdom shrine. That's when it's going to matter. So you will see the benefit at the end, but it's going to nerf the early. However, this also means that when your enemies try to get their level 5 or so from wisdom off the first wisdom, sometimes it's level 6, depends how they're doing. But now it might not do that for them because it's a little bit less. And that obviously means that it'll be less of an immediate impact where it might cause a lane to spiral out of control. And that's kind of cool. Terrain. I won't understand these until I see them probably, but Tormentor spawns have been positioned closer to the Lotus. I'll have to see that because they're not that close to the Lotus. They're pretty far away. Tormentor spawn areas have been reduced to low ground relative to the lane's level. Okay, so now from the lane you can see the Tormentor. That's nice because they were on high ground. Lotus pools have been moved slightly closer to the respective off-lane tower. So right now the Lotus is kind of closer to safe lane. They're pushing it closer to the off-lane tower. Twin gates slightly moved away from the stairs towards the map border. It means twin gates are farther from the lane. So it was already pretty close to the edge, but they're moving it. They're moving it. You know what I'm gonna do?
I won't let my mentor down.
I'm gonna look at this. Turn off creeps and all that stuff. Can I turn off towers?
I have trained for this moment, and I am ready.
Okay.
On my way. I've got a trick up my sleeve. Closing in.
Okay, that's not what I thought they meant by where they moved the twin gate. The twin gate used to be over here. Right?
Moving into position.
And this is Tormentor? That's not where Tormentor... No, Tormentor was over here, I guess.
Easy.
Okay, I understand where Tormentor was. For some reason, I forgot they moved it. I thought it was over, like, over here. But I guess I knew this. Tormentor used to be over here. So they moved the Tormentor up, closer to the lane, right? But still on low ground, because it was on high ground, respective to the lane.
I'm with you.
And they moved the Twin Gate, which, comparative to Tower...
Wonderful.
Twin Gate used to be, like, here, near the map border. They moved it over.
This is what I trained
now,
for.
what worries me about this twin gate is that now that I'm looking at it, now when someone comes in the lane, it's a lot easier to walk this way and gank, right? Before, they would have to spawn way over here. Vision would be easier to come by because there was actually a watcher that watched, like, it was still low ground, but it watched a little bit better where the stairs were. And the other stairs were so far away that it would take so long to get here that it wouldn't be as viable. So it looks to me like it's just going to be a lot more, like, into things. As far as this doesn't really look like it moved much.
The battle continues.
I guess a little. I guess it was here, right? Yeah, I guess it was, like, here. So it shifted very slightly. Very slightly. It didn't move a lot, to be honest. Okay, what else changed? Watchers now between two stairs, one that goes down to the Tormentor, one that goes up. We saw it. Ancient neutral camp near stream ends demoted to median camp and moves slightly towards bases.
Ready to fight. Back to basics.
I'm not
I'm ready.
sure which one they mean. Stream end means this one. This was Ancients. So they mean they demoted this one.
I'm ready.
And they said they moved it. I guess this is a little bit further left. If they mean this one, that makes sense. Medium neutral camp near offlaner's Defender's Gate has been demoted to a small neutral camp. That, just so we're clear.
Yes. Just like my mentor taught me. My focus mind.
They're talking about this camp right here. Alright, Tier 1 safe lane towers have been moved slightly away from their pole camps where the creeps meet.
Let's get to work.
I'm going to understand that a lot more
I've got a
over
few
here.
tricks up my sleeve.
I'm used to playing Dire when
Let's
it comes to
move.
pulling. I don't know why, it's just true. So they're saying they pulled this slightly away to make it harder for the tower. Like it's further from the tower. And it kind of is, I guess, slightly. Radiant safe lane small camp has been slightly moved.
We have a plan, right?
Oops. I had to pee real quick. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I know that I'm in the middle of talking, but I'll get to it. Promise. Okay. Sorry. Just had to pee really bad. Okay. So, I don't remember what it said. So I just have to read it again. Pole camp I got. Radiant safe lane small camp has been slightly moved north away from the lane.
It's time. Let's go.
I'm not sure which camp they're referring to. This is supposed to be a small camp, I think.
Okay,
Oh, no, this
yes.
small camp right here. Yeah, it is certainly farther away, I think.
Moving.
I think. Radiant actually isn't where I'm talking about anyway. It's specifically Radiant on the other side, but Radiant safe lane hard camp spawn box has been moved towards the off lane to remove a bad ward location. Radiant off lane tier 2 tower has been adjusted slightly to the left, such that creeps do not path on the both sides of the tower. I agree with that.
Let's stop these bastards.
So they're talking about the off lane tower. Creeps sometimes used to go around this tower both directions. It's
They
really
won't know what
annoying when you're
hit.
blocking and stuff. The ramp leading from the Radiant Tier 1 tower to the stream has been decreased in width and moved away. The medium flooded camp near the safe lane Tier 2 tower but closer to the middle of the stream. Yeah, the flooded camp. Safe lane Tier 2 can now only evolve once into a hard camp rather than into an ancient camp, so that's less muddy later. The medium flooded camp near the bounty runes can now evolve twice into an ancient camp, so change which ones. Remove several trees from Dire safe lane, easy pull camp, and Radiant safe lane, hard pull camp. Just so we're clear, what does that mean? Just so we're clear, this is easy pull, this is hard pull. That's what
Of
they
course.
mean. As I'm aware. I'm not gonna look at all those. It looks like it's pretty simple, honestly. Okay. I'm not gonna look at all these. It looks like I got a pretty good grasp on it. Alright, mechanics change. Health restoration. Health restoration now applies to all forms of life gain. Previously, it did not apply to incoming heals. So it meant that you didn't amplify if someone mech'd you. Now it does. Incoming heal amplification now stacks diminishingly with health restoration instead of additively with outgoing heal amp. I don't know which spells this would affect. Spells that previously had a separate value for incoming heal reduction now only modify health restoration. Aya Sky's Cold Attack, Spirit Vessel Soul Release, Omni Knight's Guardian Angel with Aghanims, Pudge is Wrought with Aghanim Scepter. So instead of stopping all heals, they just stop health restoration, but that also makes sense because health restoration now applies to all forms of life gain. It says all forms of life gain, but it says heal amp still exists. It says health amplification now stacks diminishing with health restoration. So what, all forms of life gain? But it's like, nope, not heal amp apparently. Heal amp still exists as far as it's saying. As a result of changes, spells that only modified health restoration now also additionally affect incoming heals. It's nice. It's definitely a buff to all those things. Lifesteal and damage manipulations. Physical and magical lifesteal will now take into account overall damage reductions, amplifications, when computing how much to lifesteal. Oh. So, okay. If you go to lifesteal someone who has an Aeon, you just don't lifesteal at all. That's what they're saying, basically. So it matters if you're actually doing damage. Which, okay. Historically, lifesteal was calculated before some damage reductions or amplifications were applied. As a result, you could gain health from attacks that dealt no damage, like attacks against a hero affected by Aeon Disc. This will not happen anymore. The only amplification that is not taken into account is increased damage against illusions. Because that'd be annoying, by the way. That'd be so broken. Huge nerf to lifesteal and good. Although it does technically mean that if you do amplified damage from something that would amplify your damage, you do lifesteal more. All sources of reflection damage now have an alt note detailing mechanics of reflected damage, just letting you know that they can't be double reflected. Yeah, reflected damage cannot be reflected back. Lifesteal and spell lifesteal don't apply to reflected damage. Reflected damage doesn't affect debuff immune units. By the way, lifesteal and spell lifesteal do apply to reflected damage for Quap. When she blade mails, when someone hits her, she heals. Unless that's new. I'll check that, actually. Units with free movement can now miss their attacks when attacking uphill targets. So even if you can have free movement, you can still miss. That's a huge nerf, by the way, to Bat Rider and Dragon Knight. Lena, kinda. So I gotta test this real quick on the co-op thing.
They're good.
The ones who
Give
live
them that.
will never forget me. Your queen moves. The pain train. Blade mail. Oh, yes.
Give no clue.
Under attack. A path
I go where I'm
to
needed.
pain.
It's only spell lifesteal, right? All sources of spell lifesteal also apply to pure damage. Queen of Pain gains spell lifesteal that increases proximity to your enemies. Lifesteal is at maximum when the enemies. Did they change? I don't even know if they changed anything about our thing where it would still make sense. I guess I wouldn't know until I read it. I'm just gonna go down to co-op super quick because I don't even know what they changed exactly. Does she not heal off reflected damage anymore? Am I just crazy? Because I know she did before. Everybody bought Blade Mail on her. But I might not understand the exact combo. Maybe she has to have some other spell lifesteal. I don't think so, though. They just did a Blade Mail. That was it. That's all I did. They just did Blade Mail. Queen of Pain. Q. 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 Somewhere down here. N-O-P. No. I mean, without her innate, it might not apply anymore.
They can't hide.
You know what I mean?
Here.
If I did have spell lifesteal naturally, which what, Bloodstone does that?
Bloodstone. Shiva's guard.
On it. I go.
No, I don't think it's having any effect, because even though there's spell lifesteal, like, the blade mail's not applying damage that would then be hit by that. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I could have misunderstood, but I don't. She has spell lifesteal. I don't think it counts as a spell, so blade mail would have no interaction anymore. I'm not sure. Well, it does say it doesn't. I mean, granted, in the patch, it literally says it doesn't. So, oops. Oh my god, I hate when that happens, when I can't just back out. So I'm not sure. I don't know. Not worried about it. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out how it goes. It does say it doesn't, so. So everything's been moved in the shop naturally. That just makes sense. Alright, new miscellaneous item. Miscellaneous just means it's where it is in the shop, by the way. Chasm Stone. It costs 800 gold, provides 40 area of effect. Area effect bonuses for multiple chasm stones or its upgrades do not stack. It's going to obviously build into stuff, duh. Shawl. It's like the new cloak. Provides magic resistance. Splint mail is like the new plate mail. They're both cheaper, by the way. Shawl and splint mail are cheaper than their companions, but they basically do the same thing. They're just cheaper and they do less. Wizard hat. It provides flat mana, which is weird. Weird effect. Chainmail got cheaper. Cloak went up, because it actually still exists, by the way. P.S. It went up by 100, rough. Cornucopia is gone. Thank goodness. It was a weird item anyway. Wait, was it? Did I not just build a blade mail and doesn't Cornucopia go? No, it doesn't. Perseverance goes into blade mail. I'm sorry. This goes into Orchid. Did. Orb of Frost now also modifies incoming healing because health restoration change. I'm going to ignore those. Refresher Shard resets cooldowns. No longer refreshes items. Huge nerf to Refresher Shard, and thank goodness for that. It's not nearly as good now, but it's still decent. Ring of Health and Void Stone were moved back to the secret shop. Spell Lifesteal and Voodoo Mask went up by 3. That's actually really nice. Alright. New items. Consecrated Wraps. Vitality Booster, Shawl, Crown, and a Recipe. So it's 2,600. Cheap item. 15% magic resistance, 250 health, and 6 all attributes, which is like decent stats. Passive. Hallowed. Gain a stack every 3 seconds up to a maximum of 3. Whenever the wearer takes damage from a player-controlled unit or Rashad, all stacks are removed to create an all-damage barrier for 7 seconds that absorbs 120 damage per removed stack. So you could, in theory, block 360. If the wearer reaches a max amount of stacks at least once in a game, regaining a stack provides a non-stacking buff that increases movement speed by 20% for 7 seconds. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, so if you've ever had all your stacks, right? Which, it happens immediately. It's... How would you not? It takes 9 seconds. So basically, it'll always happen. If you reach your maximum amount of stacks, 3, then every time you gain a stack, you get some movement speed for a little while, which is nice. Has no damage threshold, but doesn't proc from health loss damage like Heartstopper Aurora. Can't gain stacks for 3 seconds after taking damage from Rashawn or player-controlled sources. So basically, it can't keep shielding you over and over again during a fight. Seems fine. Krella's Crozier is how I would pronounce that. I don't know. Ghost Scepter, Soul Booster, and Recipe. Sounds like a caster item. 6 all attributes, 450 health, 450 mana. Active, Rite of Rumusk. The wearer enters ghost form for 4 seconds, like a Ghost Scepter, becoming immune to physical damage, but is unable to attack, like Ghost Scepter. And 30% more vulnerable to magic damage, like Ghost Scepter. Steals 5% movement speed from enemy heroes in a 900 radius every second. Movement speed steal lasts 1.5 seconds. Bonuses stack and have duration refreshed on gaining new stacks. No mana cost, cooldown 20. The ghost form and stolen speed can be dispelled off the wearer, but the stealing debuff that provides new stacks can't. Passive, Putrefaction Aura, reduces health restoration of nearby enemy heroes by 30. While Rite of Remusk is active, the effect is increased to 75, and all of the lost health restoration is redirected to the wearer. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So, active. Do a Ghost Scepter thing, and also steal movement speed from everybody around you, enemies. Passive. Lower health restoration, which is what we're looking for, because a different item got nerfed. And if you activate it, because there's an activatable part, like using the active, which is the one that gives you the ghost form, it'll buff the health restoration part. And you'll also get the health restoration, so you'll be healing a bunch. Sounds good on Necro, by the way. Requires Essence Distiller. Urn of Shadows, Chainmail, Wizard Hat, Recipe. Pretty cheap, actually. 1.75 mana regen, 3 attributes, 6 armor, 150 mana. Active, Soul Release. When cast on an ally, provide 40 health regen if the ally is attacked. It's kind of weird that is there no longer a, before I say this, is there no longer an upgrade to Urn? Like a different Urn? No, there's still a Spirit Vessel, okay. When cast on an ally, provide 40 health regen. If the ally is attacked by an enemy hero or Roshan, the effect is lost. When cast on an enemy, deal 25 damage per second, provides true sight over them. That's nice. And shares their vision with the wearer's team. Both effects last 8 seconds. Can be cast on the ground to put a dormant effect that will latch to the first enemy hero that comes within 400 range of it. It does not say visions required for that. The effect waits for 15 seconds and provides 400 vision until it disappears. Gains charges every time an enemy hero dies within 1500 units. Cast range 1000. No mana cost, cooldown 10. Gains 1 charge if the wearer dies with an empty Essence Distiller. Gains 2 charges if Essence Distiller has had no charges and an enemy hero dies within the radius, which is the exact same way that Urn does it. So it's Urn with bigger heal, true sight, and can also be cast on the ground to do some kind of funkiness. That's it. So it's a different Urn. Just a different way to do your Urn. Sounds really good against like an Invis hero like Ricky or Bounty. Specialist Array comes back. Blade of Alacrity, Broadsword Recipe. It's kind of a mid-item. 2,550. 20 damage, 12 agility. Passive, Split Shot, ranged only. Ranged attacks have a 30% chance to fire an additional projectile at up to 2 nearby enemies that aren't the original attack target within a 120-degree angle in front of the wearer, and within attack range plus 150. The additional projectiles deal 20 plus 75% of the normal attack and do not trigger on-hit effects, like a Maelstrom. The primary attack deals 20 plus full damage of a normal attack when the ability procs. Doesn't work with other sources of secondary projectiles like Medusa, Gyro, or Muerta. I actually already knew Medusa and Gyro. I didn't think of Muerta, but I wasn't listening in order because I knew who they were going to reference. So yeah, Specialist Array works basically like it did before. It's just coming back. Hydra's Breath. It is a very expensive item. It's an endgame item. It means Specialist Array, which is already expensive, Dragonlance, Orb of Venom, and a Recipe. Provides 25 damage, 30 agility, 15 strength, and 150 attack range. Sounds like a sniper item already. Passive, Miasma. Attacks poison the target for 3 seconds, dealing magic damage equal to 2.5% of the target's max health every second. If the debuff is reapplied, the duration is refreshed, can't be applied by illusions or to Roshan. Passive, Polycephaly. Ranged attacks have a 30% chance to fire at up to 3 nearby enemies that aren't the original target. Same degree within exact range. Yeah, it's the same way that Special Story works. You get 20, 75, or full 20. It's the exact same way. So I don't have to read that. It's just up to 3 nearby enemies instead of 2. Only change. So yeah, Sniper's going to like this because he can in theory hit everybody. And also he does a poison effect that does percentage on tanky targets. That's crazy. Arcane Boots, recipe changed. Now also requires a Wizard Hat. Recipe cost went down by 150. So the recipe still went up. It got more expensive by 100, mind you, because of that change. But since the recipe was one of the biggest costs, it's kind of nice to have that go down, because of all the pieces of this, the most expensive thing are boots. This is broken down into 2 items, and then it used to be the recipe, but now the recipe being a little bit lower down, it makes things a little easier as far as affording, and now it also gives the 125 mana from the wizard hat. So at least the boots are better to have because you get some mana for it. Guarding Greaves. Recipe cost increased by 50. The total cost, because of that change in that, went up by 150. But it does provide the 150 mana, and the mana regen bonus was decreased by 0.5. Ah, big rip. Battle Fury. Recipe was changed. Now requires Perseverance instead of Cornucopia. See, it used to be Cornucopia. I knew it. The recipe cost decreased by 200. So it's the same price. It's just different things. Although Cornucopia is a bigger one-time thing. So think about it like this. Perseverance is 2 items that both cost 700. Void Stone and Ring of Health, I think. Cornucopia is just 1 item. So it's way better to buy the Perseverance because it's 2 different things. You don't have to save as much. Does that make sense? It's always risky to have a lot of gold in your bank sitting there, because if someone kills you, you could lose some. So way better to have small purchases always. And since the price is the same overall, it's just better. Alright, so they changed Black King Bar, which we actually noticed in the game. We already knew before it said anything. Instead of going 9876 every time you use it, it just goes 987. It never gets to 6. So that's a buff to BKB at the end, because it can't go below 7. So what does this really mean? Well, it's a counter to some heroes who require the BKB to basically be nothing. Buff to heroes who need the BKB to be essential. It's actually going to make games shorter, I think, too. Because now instead of a degradation of the BKB, where the fights last longer and they're more drawn out, now a hero might just be able to end the fight. Does that make sense? So I think it might be good, because game length is getting a little crazy, so I'm hoping this changes that. Blade Mail. Now requires split mail instead of chain mail. Recipe cost decreased. The total cost still went up by 100, thank goodness. The armor bonus did go up by 1, though. So 100 more gold, but 1 more armor. I'm fine with that, because it being more expensive and getting heroes getting it later is better. Also, split mail is a bigger one-time cost, and that matters too. Crimson's armor bonus decreased by 2. Guard base damage block was rescaled from 70 for all units to 70 on melee heroes and buildings, and 45 on ranged heroes. What? Okay, I get it. So, basically, when you give everybody a block, it gives 70 plus 2% of the caster, being me, who owns the Crimson Guard, of a block chance. But now, instead of just being 70, it changes. If you're doing a ranged hero, if I'm protecting my Drow Ranger, Drow doesn't get as much. They also nerfed it from 2.2% of max health to 2, so it's a big nerf to Crimson Guard. I have less armor, I give less block to everybody, including myself, and much less to ranged heroes. So Crimson Guard's probably going to fall out of the meta. I think it's probably much less essential now. Dagon. Recipe changed. Now requires Point Booster, Wizard Hat, and Crown, instead of Diadem and Voodoo Mask. Recipe cost unchanged. Total cost was increased. So it starts at 250 more... Yeah, 250 more at all levels, because it's still part of the part that matters. No longer gives spell lifesteal, by the way, at all. All attribute bonus decreased from 7 to 15 to 6 to 10. That's a big nerf. Now also provides health, though, mana, and cast range. Cast range is really nice, by the way. Cast range bonus, do not stack with Aether Lens or multiple Dagons. Energy Burst, which is the actual active cast range, was decreased, so that now the cast range you're getting probably balances out. It'd be 260 to balance out. It's actually less. No, actually, Dagon, it does not balance out, because at early levels it will, because 640 plus 60, like the level 1, if you will, would be the same, right? But then 640 plus 90 is going to be 730. So you actually have less cast range on a level 2 Dagon. And much less on 3rd, much less on 4th, much less on 5th. So you're getting less cast range with the Dagon itself. Effective cast range with the items, yeah, I already did the math. You can see it, 900 to 820. Energy Burst no longer instantly kills non-ancient creeps. Energy Burst no longer heals for 75% of the damage dealt. Huge nerfs, honestly. Dagon giving you health and stuff is really nice. In cast range for other abilities, but in general, big nerf. Dragonlance, ranged attack. I'm not even close. I'm moving into heroes for 40 minutes in. Range attack range bonus decreased from 140 to 130. So big nerf to, not big nerf, small nerf to anybody who uses Dragonlance for the ranged attack, the attack range. Hurricane Pike, same change. The Hurricane thrust cast range on enemies was decreased by 25, so you have to be closer to push someone back. And the thrust enemy push distance was also decreased by 25. So not only do you have to be closer, but it's going to push you related to that. So it's not going to push you as far either. Drum. Recipe changed. Now requires headdress instead of robe of the Magi. The recipe cost went up, so the total cost is the same. No more 7-inch.
I think what we need right now is a bit of music to bring back the mood.
Sorry. No more 7-int, but it does increase the strength by 1. The swiftness aura for everybody now gives 2.5 health regen. It's kind of nice. Endurance now shares cooldown with Boots of Bearing, as it should have. It was stupid that it didn't. I would say those are nerfs. The strength bonus of 1 is not worth the int, probably. And the health regen's nice, but the fact that it doesn't share, it shares cooldown now is kind of rough. Boots of Bearing also don't provide 8 int. They also provide the 2.5 health regen. Same change. Eternal Shroud removed. Yes! Yes! Get it out of my game. It just caused all my 3s to do nothing for the team and never buy a pipe. Thank goodness. And I know that now there's another option, because now they can buy Consecrated Wraps. But honestly, they don't do the same thing. They're not the same functionality. E-Blade can't be disassembled. Good. Gleipnir. Now also requires Chasm Stone. Recipe cost decreased. The total cost went up by 100. Area of effect bonuses for multiple Chasm Stones or its upgrades do not stack. I already do that. So basically, with no buff to the ability at all, like the item, it went up by 100 gold. Worst item then. Glimmer. Now requires Shawl instead of Cloak, but the recipe went up. Total cost the same. Midas. Transmute no longer prevents camp clearing Madstone bundles from spawning if it was used on the last creep in neutral. Getting guaranteed Madstone bundle from Transmute used to prevent the camp clearing bundle from spawning. So basically, if you use Midas, it gives you the bundle no matter what. I guess there was a bug where if you killed the last creep in a camp, instead of giving you both the guaranteed drop, but also the drop for clearing the camp, it just gave you the guaranteed drop. So now they fixed that, and now you can get both in theory. One for clearing the camp, one for the Midas. If there's still 2 left to drop. Draw Forth, which is, it's the active for Harpoon that pulls. Can now target trees, and will pull the caster to it, destroying all trees in the way. That is a crazy buff. The ability to run away with Harpoon, that's so cool. It's great. I love that. Halberd. Now provides Talisman Evasion, Split Mail, Ring of Health, and Recipe. Total cost, 3,400. I don't know what it used to be. 26. So it went up by 800. No longer be disassembled. No longer provides 275 health, but it does provide 9 armor and 25% evasion. That's pretty nice. No longer has damage block passive, which it shouldn't have anyway. Disarm cooldown decreased by 4, so it's up more often. Disarm cast range was increased by 100, and disarm duration increased by 0.5. So the actual disarm, the meaningful part of it, just got way better. That's excellent, right? I think it's good. I think Halberd should be a used item. It really isn't, so I'm glad. I'm glad it makes you a little tankier to hold it, because I think it should. Makes you a little tankier, but it is way more expensive in exchange. So it's not just a cheap item. You just, I'll just buy a Halberd. No. You gotta commit. Kaya, mana regen amplification bonus decreased from 40 to 30. Rough! Why are they killing Kaya? Kaya Sanj, same change. It was a 10 hit. It now also modifies incoming healing as a result of health restoration. Yep. I'm going to stop reading those. Meteor Hammer, mana regen amplification went down by 5, so it actually got hit less than the other ones. It's probably because it was already kind of not good. Same thing. Yashikaya went from 50 to 40. Lotus Orb can no longer be disassembled. Good. I hate disassembling items. Mage Slayer. Now requires Perseverance instead of Cornucopia. Now requires Blade of Attack instead of Gloves of Haste. Total cost went up by 300. No longer provides attack speed at all. Health regen bonus increased from 5 to 6. Mana regen went up from 2 to 2.5. Damage bonus increased from 8 to 15. Mage Slayer damage type changed from magical to physical. Mage Slayer damage per second increased from 20 to 40. So, magical to physical was probably a nerf because it won't affect carries as much. Like, right-click carries are going to have armor. So it's probably a nerf, but it doesn't matter much. I don't think, based on how much damage it is, it's going to be minor. The bigger thing is not having attack speed is going to be a really big nerf to it. Being tanky doesn't matter as much as, like, actually doing something with the Mage Slayer. You want to attack. The damage per second being doubled is kind of cool, but probably the item is going to fall out of love a little bit. But still a good counter, sometimes. Mask of Madness. Berserk now also grants 30% slow resistance since it gives attack, like, move speed. It doesn't want you to be slowed. Berserk bonus movement speed changed from 25 to all heroes to 8, 12 for range melee. So if you're melee, it's 12. So 12%, by the way. Sorry, percent. So that means if you're already fast, the 12% is way faster than 25 flat. Berserk armor reduction decreased from 8 to 7. So the amount of armor you lose is now 1 less. So using mask isn't as costly. Mechanism, the recipe went up by 50. Cost is the same. MKB, recipe cost increased by 300. Total cost increased by 300. It now also provides 50 attack range to melee heroes only. Ooh, interesting. Damage bonus increased from 40 to 50. Attack speed bonus increased from 45 to 50. I like this. MKB felt like only bought when you needed to counter evasion. Now it actually feels like by itself it's kind of cool. That's a really nice change. And Furry's going to hate it. Nullifier now requires Split Mail instead of Helm of Iron Will. Total cost decreased by 25, naturally. No longer provides 6 health regen. So Nullifier is 25 cheaper, which is huge, but it doesn't give you any health regen. So it's a worse item, but it's nice that it's cheaper because the main thing you use it for is Nullify. Oblivion Staff gives 0.25 more mana regen. Nice. Orchid now provides Claymore instead of Cornucopia. Recipe cost decreased. The total cost is the same. No longer provides health regen. Damage bonus increased by 10. Mana regen bonus decreased by 0.5. Intelligence bonus increased by 2. Losing the mana regen is really rough for a lot of heroes like Storm. That's tough. The damage bonus is like whatever. A lot of heroes really that use Orchid aren't probably going to hit a lot. Except maybe like Lena and stuff, they might. So, I don't know. It's probably fine. It's probably not going to change much. Bloodthorn. Oblivion Staff instead of Hyperstone. Total cost went down by 225. Nice. No health regen again. Int went up 25. Attack speed went down by 25. Rough. Mana regen bonus did increase, though, by 0.75. Nice. Damage bonus increased by 10. Same change. The mana cost for Soul Rend did go up by 25. So actually, Bloodthorn is better. Much better item. They did nerf the attack speed, but they buffed everything else. So it's probably still a better item. And if you're Int hero, you're going to get damage anyway. Cool. Same change. Same change. Device now requires Wizard's Hat instead of Energy Booster. Recipe cost increased. Total cost decreased by 50. Mana bonus decreased from 250 to 175. That's a huge nerf, by the way. The mana you're getting by holding this is crap now. Solar Crest now requires Chainmail instead of Crown. Recipe cost unchanged. So the total cost unchanged due to that. No longer gives +4 to all stats. Armor bonus did increase by 3 though, but mana bonus went down by 100, but health bonus increased by 25. it's still a lot less because losing the stats lowered this health anyway. It doesn't matter. You still lost. So they lowered your mana bonus to 200. Sorry, lowered the mana bonus. They did raise the health a little bit, but it's not going to matter related to the 4 tile attributes. So overall, it's a nerf. It's a nerf to the item. Rough. It's really good, though. Perseverance health regen bonus was decreased by 1. That's a lot. Phase boots went down by 50 cost. That's really nice. Phase boots don't feel great always, so I'm glad to see them get some love. Phylactery's health regen bonus went down by 1. Nice. Pipe. Shawl and headdress. Recipe cost decreased. Total cost unchanged. Barrier no longer affects units that have been affected by barrier within Pipe of Insight's cooldown. Okay. So you can't double barrier, that's it, yeah? Insight Aura no longer provides health regen. Oh, rough. Burn toggling no longer breaks invisibility nor stops channeling. So if you turn off your radiance, it doesn't stop you from doing whatever it is you're doing. Refresher Orb. Health regen bonus increased by 2. Mana regen went up by 1. Resets cooldowns decreased. So it's always its lowest duration. So it doesn't scale with uses. That's something they just rolled back because it was awful. Resets cooldowns mana cost decreased from 400 to 325, making it like actually useful. But here it comes. I knew it was coming. No longer refreshes items. No double BKB, which is the same with Refresher Shard. No double Satanic. No double, I'm trying to think of an example. Abyssal Blade. No double Scythe. Nothing. Good. I'm glad they made the item as itself better, but, like, not letting it be abusive. Revenant's Boast got 1% spell lifesteal bonus. That's weird. Sanja's slow resistance bonus increased by 5, making you more resistant to slow. That's nice. Same change to Abyssal. Status and slow resistance went up on Sanj and Yasha. Nice. Shiva's. Item reworked. Now requires Split Mail, Chasm, and Veil of Discord. Recipe costs changed. Total cost decreased by a lot, actually. It is 675 cheaper. No longer gives 5 strength, 5 agility, 5 intelligence, or 5 health regen. Armor bonus increased by 2. Excuse me. Now also provides 75 area of effect. Area effect bonuses for multiple chasm. Yeah. Arctic blast damage increased by 60. The radius decreased on it though by 75. Freezing aura no longer reduces health restoration. Incoming heal amp. Freezing aura now pierces debuff immunity. So I bought Shiva's and found this out the hard way. It doesn't affect your heal at all. It's what Shiva's did. It was one of its biggest things. I think Shiva's now is useless. Legitimately. It still does do an attack speed debuff. But, like, I just think Shiva's is useless now. Yeah, whatever. That's just a change. Tranquils. Break now also goes on cooldown when the item is disassembled. So you can't just, like, disassemble them and reassemble them. Good. Veil. Voodoo Mask, Robe of Magi, Fluffy Hat, and Recipe. Went down by 25. No longer provides 4 armor, 4 attributes, or 4.5 health regen. Now provides 10 int, 175 health, and 18% spell lifesteal. The spell lifesteal is huge, by the way. The health is minor because the attributes and the armor together would probably give you more effective health. Just being honest. Because you'd get 80 health, but then the armor would be multiplicatively more helpful. Magic weakness was renamed to spell weakness, which, whatever. It's still good. It's still a fine item. Because spell lifesteal's cool. Bloodstone. Veil of Discord instead of Voidstone and Voodoo Mask. Total cost went up by 250. Sorry, 350. No longer provides mana regen at all. Spell lifesteal bonus decreased by 5. Health bonus increased by 200. Nice. Now also provides 15 int. Blood Pact no longer applies to Dispel. That sucks. No longer multiplies spell lifesteal bonus by 3. Now increases spell lifesteal to 60% instead. And they nerfed that yet. Blood Pact no longer has a 30-second self debuff preventing repeated usage of Blood Pact. Now also provides passive spell weakness aura. Enemy units within 1200 radius take 12% increased damage from spells. Effects do not stack with Veil. It's just a Veil effect. don't know how I feel about that. I'd have to really see this in action. It looks weird. And Witchblade, the recipe, the total cost is the same. Doesn't matter. Okay, neutral items. I'm going to be really, really quick about these because I don't care about them. So, Tier 1 availability changed from 5 minutes to 0. Madstone crafting cost for Tier 1 items increased from 5 to 6. Now you need 6 Madstones instead of 5. Number of artifact choices increased from 4 to 5 for Tiers 2 through 5. I noticed that, by the way, that there was more choices. I like that. Still hate these items, though. I wish they'd just get rid of neutrals. Shield Wall's damage barrier was increased by 20. Shield Wall movement speed reduction increased from 12 to 20. So you go slower. So you go slower when you use it, but it blocks more. Chip Besh. The damage does to creeps was changed from 20 to 15. Nerf. Dagger Visual, returning as a Tier 1 neutral artifact, active in Brew. Increases attack damage by 25 for 8 seconds, but it costs 100 health. Fair. Like a sniper, that's cool. Forager's Kit. When this item is off cooldown, the wearer can see trees that can be foraged. Stand next to one of those trees for 1 second will give the wearer one of the following items. It doesn't. Okay. I guess I'll say it further on. Cooldown 60 seconds. Tree reveal radius 1200, which is far. All items except for a bag of gold are placed in inventory if there are slots available and can stack up to 5 times per slot. Possible items. Ironwood Nut. Passively provides 3 movement speed. Grants 1 primary stat when consumed. 0.4 to all stats for universal heroes. Tomoken Ring Cap. Passively provides 2 int, can be consumed to instantly grant target 50 plus 5% of their maximum mana. So it's like a mango-ish thing. Vital Toadstool. Passively provides 2 damage, can be consumed to grant a target plus 1% max health regen for 10 seconds. If the unit is attacked by an enemy hero or Rashawn, the bonus is lost. Bag of Gold. Provides 30 gold to the wearer. I hate the idea that the Ironwood Nut gives primary stat. That sounds pretty bull. Just to be honest. Possessed Mask comes back. Passive lifesteal. Attacks heal for 5 health. Stone Feather Satchel. Transmogrify. Activate to switch contents of the satchel between feathers or rocks. No mana cost. Pound of Feathers increases movement speed by 12 and distance of force movement effects on yourself by 30%. Pound of Rocks. Increased armor by 3 and decreases distance of force movement by 30%. So if you either have a lot of armor but not get moved a lot by force movement, or lose the armor but get movement speed instead. Yeah, okay. Weighted Dice. Loaded now also increases max base damage by 6. I didn't even see that. I used these too. That's really nice. That makes them even more desirable. Crippling Crossbow. Moved from tier 4 to 2. Initial damage decreased by 50. Max slow decreased by 30. Cast range decreased by 250. It now also modifies incoming heal. Fair. Medallion. It's now an artifact instead of a basic item you buy. Because it used to be something you buy, obviously, right? Long ago. Valor. If cast on an ally, increases their armor by 7. If cast on an enemy, decreases their armor by 4. Searing Signet. Total damage went down by 10. Damage threshold increased from 55 to 60. The threshold is what it takes for it to activate, by the way. So it won't activate on weaker spells. Seeds of Serenity comes back. Place a circle on the ground that heals. That's enough. Whisper of the Dread removed, which I think is better. I think it's good. Cloak of Flames. It does burn around you. That's it. It's like a mini Radiance. Cooldown on Gunpowder Gauntlet went up by 4. I didn't understand. Jetty Pollen Bag. Jetty Pollen Bag health restoration loss increased from 30 to 50, so it's a bigger debuff. Partisan's Brand, that's new. Passive Brand increases spell damage against player-controlled units by 9%. So basically, when you're attacking an enemy like Boar or something from Beastmaster, you do an extra 9% damage. Player-controlled units include heroes and any creep summoned. Oh, heroes too. and any creep summoned or converted. So player control means anything the player can control, including themselves. Didn't know that. Serrated Shiv, Guttum cooldown increased from 1 to 1.5. That's just how long you can have until you get another chance to True Strike. Spellslinger. Passive. Whenever you cast a spell, 20% of the spell's mana cost is restored to you over 10 seconds. So every 2 seconds is just little mana, little mana, little mana, little mana. So I get some back. Stormcrafter. Passive. Every 6 seconds, it zaps 2 enemies, slowing them, doing damage. Conjurer's Catalyst is taking forever. Every 100 spell damage dealt to an enemy deals damage to their surrounding allies in a 300 radius. Hero targets deal 40 damage to their allies. Other targets deal 15. Just so you can't like hit a creep and kill everybody. Dandelion Amulet comes back. Damage block. It's a 300 damage block. Enchanter's Bauble. Passive. Increases bonuses of the item's neutral enchantment by 15%. The neutral enchantment is like the plus, health regen or like movement speed or whatever. So 15% better. Every time you craft this item, which is Enchanter's Bauble, the bonus is increased by 40%. You can select any enchantments during recraft, and bonus will still keep increasing as long as you keep Enchanter's Bauble. Metamorphic Mandible. Pupate duration, which is the active when you turn into its form, increased by 1 second. The bonus magic resistance was also increased by 15%. Prophet's Pendulum. 30% of damage taken is delayed over 5 seconds. It is lethal, though. Rattle Cage. Reverberates damage threshold increased from 180 to 210. Yeah, it's how much damage you have to take until it does its effect. Harmonizer. Passive. Grant 5% mana cost reduction for every hero ability off cooldown and 6% spell amp for every spell on cooldown. So basically, if you have cooldowns, things go well. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Grants 5% mana cost reduction for every hero ability off cooldown, which means hero abilities that are ready. And spell amp for every ability that isn't ready. Item spells are affected by both effects. However, item cooldowns don't affect the Harmonizer buff. So it means that you can have the mana cost reduction if you use a mech, and you can have a spell amp if you use like a Dagon. But the cooldown for Dagon or Guardians will not give you more mana cost reduction or more spell amp. They're just affected by the passive, like what happens. Buff counts only current abilities that have cooldowns, even if it's passive. So that means Wraith Exalt would count. Invoked abilities and sub-abilities don't count when they're hidden. That means like Rubik, if a spell that he could steal doesn't count because he doesn't have it yet. Invoker, same thing. The spell isn't on his hotbar, doesn't count. Rift Shadow Prism. Refract health cost increase. You spend a percentage of your health to create a full illusion. Okay, so the cost went down by 2% of your health. And it takes less damage. Skitter duration was increased by 4 seconds, so you skitter longer. Witchbane. Cleanse. Apply basic dispel on all units in a 300 unit radius. Cast range is 500. Passive. Your attacks deal bonus magic damage equal to 4% of the target's max mana, who you're attacking. Alright, these are some changes to enchantments. So we talked about the choices. They're no longer randomized. Now options are based on your hero's primary attribute with some enchantments available to all. Tier 1. Quickened and Vital. Strength get Brawny and Tough. Agility get Alert and Brawny. Intelligence, Mystical and Tough. Universal, Alert, Mystical. Okay, so it just changes which ones are available. We'd have to look into it. They removed some of them too. So the attack range, cast range 1 removed. Attack range, damage, armor removed. Was negative armor. Wise, which is experience per minute, max mana, removed. Quickened, which is movement speed, mana, evasion, is a guaranteed tier 1 through 4 option for all heroes. It'll always be there. Vital is health regen. Well, now it is anyway. Is now guaranteed tier 1 option for all heroes. Brawny, now guaranteed for strength. Yeah, this is the same thing. Cool. Alright. Creep changes. I'm going to be really fast about this because there aren't that many. Kobold Foreman does more damage. Kobold Soldier does more damage. Kobold does more damage. Vul Assassin does less damage. Weird. Ghost does less damage. That's really nice, actually. They do a lot. Harpy Stormcrafter, the actual chain lightning effect, which would affect Chet and stuff, does less damage early, more late. Cedar Tormentor, Shockwave, does less early, more late. Warpine Raider Siege Shot, which is a bouncing shot, does less early, more late. Boglet, which these are the frogs. After neutrals cast this ability, all copies of Arm of the Deep, Tendrils of the Deep, and Congregations of the Deep on other neutral Boglets, Croakers, and Ancient Croakers within 1200 range are put on a 5-second cooldown to stop them from... You can't combo just like their mini Ravage, like Ravage, Ravage. Same thing. Same things. Yeah, basically same things. Alright, heroes. Hopefully some of them are fast, because I don't want to be doing this forever. Got an hour. I could take an hour. Withering Mist is a new ability, by the way. It's his passive. Sorry. Damaging enemies applies the Withering Mist debuff for 5 seconds. Affected enemies have their health restoration reduced if they are below 40% health. So health restoration reduction changed from 35 to 24.5. Yeah. So instead of just being at what it was, it now starts lower but levels up per level. So it needs to have like level 20, 21 until it balances out. Then it'll be higher later. Mist Coil does more damage later and more heal as well. Bard times cooldown decreased, so it's less at all levels. It's 5, 10, 15 less. By the way, I'm going to check something real quick on my other monitor. If you guys don't mind, it's going to take a second. Sorry, I just got to email somebody real quick. This for work. It's really fast. Basically, I have to meet with somebody via Zoom. Nothing critical. It's just something I have to do. I'm pretty sure they mean a Zoom. With absolutely no negativity implied, the person I'm talking to has trouble with English. He totally does speak English. Like, occasionally small words get lost in translation. Where you have to be like, you second guess yourself, because you're like, as a... English is first language, and I would argue that my vocabulary, not always when I'm playing games, but I have a pretty robust vocabulary. It confuses me when someone uses a word that I wouldn't think is used in that capacity, where I'm like, wait, what do you mean by that? Like, you're gonna have to try again. I wouldn't say that to somebody, but like, that's like, I try to find a way to broach that in a very like constructive way. So when someone's bilingual, sometimes they can lose some of like the fine tunings of one of those languages. So I wanted to clarify something, which I already finished, by the way. I'm already done. I wanted to clarify something like, what do you mean, but in a nice way. Like, that's the only reason it even took me more than a second, because I was just saying like, oh yes, good plan. Is this what you mean? But like nicely. If so, great. And that was it. So just so we're on the same page. It's just like a silly little thing. Because I'll have to, if so, I have to do something tomorrow morning, which is fine. I guess I have to put that on my phone too, so I don't forget. And I am about to be done. Yeah, I'm conducting a study at work, and it's causing me a lot of stress because there's just a lot to do. all the time. And stuff that's outside of my normal job requirements. I get paid, but like outside normal job requirements. What are we gonna do? Okay. Talents I'm not really gonna talk about unless they seem important. I don't know much about like certain heroes where I'm not gonna really care. Alright, Aghanim Scepter now also increases base bonus gold and max bonus gold per kill by 6 per melted Aghanim Scepter. So if he melts an Aghanim Scepter for himself or somebody else, he'll get more money. Gross. He now also slows longer on corrosive weaponry. And the base attack damage reduction also went up. Great. Talent buffed. Talent buffed. Hate it. Oh, Death Rhyme went away. Nice. Oh, Bone Chill. It looks like it might be the same. When an ancient apparition deals max damage to an enemy with abilities, it is slowed for a short duration. If the target is a hero, its strength is also reduced. Multiple instances of this effect stack and move independent. So it doesn't deal damage. It's just a slow strength reduction. That's okay. I hated Death Rhyme specifically. When ancient apparition deals max damage, 4 seconds, reducing their movement speed by 2%. Strength by 0.1 plus 0.1 per 3 levels. See, per 3 levels. That's an example from earlier when I said some of them could be not every level, but every certain number of levels. Upgrade with Aghanim Scepter. Increases base strength reduction by 0.3. Just adds another 0.3 on top. Did not say 0.3 overall, though. It just says 0.3. Cold Feet now deals 20, 40, 60, 80 damage per second because there's no longer Death Rhyme. Ice Vortex now deals 10 to 40 damage per second. It also now slows movement speed because no Death Rhyme. Chilling Touch, the mana cost was decreased, so it's always less than its first. Great. Aghanim Scepter no longer reduces mana cost, though. It's always there. Great. Ice Blast now deals damage per second. So it does its own damage, but no longer does Death Rhyme, but it does do damage per second. Fair. Anti-Mage, I already read this one actually. Base armor increased by 1. Great. Persecutor, no longer levels of mana void. It's fine. Minimum movement slow was rescaled. Instead of 12.5 to 20, it starts at 12 plus 0.5 at level 1. So it's the same at level 1, and it'll scale. So by level 20, it'll be the same. It'll be the same as it used to be. And every level after that, it'll actually do more. On the minimum. The max will be the same. It'll scale the same, I believe. Which is fine. No problem. Fine. Good. It'll be a little slower for a while. That's fine. Mana Break. Effectiveness when applied by illusions was... Oh, actually, it doesn't matter. Well, yeah, roughly. This is level 18 right here, so it's actually going to be similar. Mana Break. Effectiveness when applied by illusions was decreased by 25%, so the illusions just don't mana break as much. But it upgrades with Ags, where it increases the max mana burned per hit by an additional 1.5. So the illusions are still going to have that negative, because they'll get the 1.5, but then will be reduced naturally. So that it'll still give them more, but they'll still net lose. But Anti-Mage will get more, and that's a big one, because him himself is the one that's doing most of the mana burn anyway. Blink. The cast range was buffed early, but nerfed a little bit late. I think that's actually worth it, because although that's a nerf and that's a little sad, I'm much more worried about his early game use of it and saving himself in lane. Cooldown was decreased, so it's better early, the same late. Got no problems with that. Mana cost was increased, but it scales down to be the same. No problem. Aghanim Scepter no longer decreases cooldown by 1. That's the only downside. What are you going to do? Magic resistance was decreased by 2, 3, 4, 5. That's probably fair, to be honest with you. I'm okay with that. But the duration of Counterspell, the Reflect, increased by 0.1 second. Now, why does that matter? Well, with a 3-second cooldown when you get your 4th level of Counterspell, Before, it had a 1.2 second uptime with a 1.8 second downtime. Now it's a 1.3 second uptime with a 1.7 second downtime. So it's getting closer and closer to being up 50% of the time, basically. Big deal. Mana Void's cooldown now starts worse, but gets to be the same. The radius starts lower, so it's harder to hit multiple units with the ult, but it scales to the same. Damage per missing mana now has to scale up. Sorry, no, it starts between its 3rd and 4th level always, which means it's going to get easier kills at 6. But it does lower his late game damage. His max mana burn was replaced with the damage, which he used to get later. Blink cast range went in here instead. So this moved down. This went in. He gets the negative 1% blink cooldown instead over here. So he just doesn't get the 1% max mana burn. That's shit, though. I know that his Ags gives 1.5 now. In addition to Ags doing his other thing, which is the big hit. But it just sucks that you don't get the max mana burn at all. Otherwise. It's fair, though. I'm okay with it. Arc Warden. Strength gain decreased by 0.2. Agility gain decreased by 0.3. So he lost damage. His movement speed did go up, though, by 15. Runic Infusion no longer grants the regeneration rune buff upon activating any rune. Now provides Arc Warden with 1.5 to all attributes permanently whenever Arc Warden or the Tempest Double activates a power rune. That is disgusting, and I hate that. So if he activates a rune, he just gets permanent attributes. That's awful. Magnetic Field now also pulls runes and automatically activates ones that are inside. Rune pull force is 100. Radius is huge. Spark Rate. The slow duration was increased, so it slows you for much longer. No longer upgraded with Ags, though. Gold and XP bounty rescaled. So they level up with level, but it's still going to be less at almost all levels. At level 20, it's still going to be less. 270 versus 300. Tempest is upgraded with Ags. The Tempest Double is infused with the bonuses of Arcane, Invisibility, and Haste runes for 12 seconds. These bonuses don't provide Runic Infusion stacks, of course. Yeah, I hate it all. Axe. Remove Code of Blood. Oh. One-man army. Now Axe's innate ability. Increases Axe's strength by 50% of his armor as long as there are no allied heroes within a radius. The effect fades over 3 seconds after an ally walks within range. Culling Blade. Now each hero kill made with Culling Blade provides a permanent stack which provides 1.1, 1.5, 2 armor depending on the current level of Culling Blade. So he still actually does have Code of Blood, but it's just the result. Bane. Strength gain decreased by 0.2, agility 0.2, intelligence 0.2. Damage gain obviously went down. Attack range was increased by 25. Gross. His passive, Ichor of Niktasha. Every time Bane kills an enemy hero or they die under the effect of any debuff applied by Bane, which means if he's ulting and they die to it, and like an ally, he still gets it. They receive a terror for the rest of the game. Each terror stack decreases the enemy's status resistance to all Bane's debuffs by 5%. The max terror stacks is 5, though. Thank goodness for any hero. But that means that 25%, if you die to Bane's ult or something, just so we're clear, you are going to have a 25% longer ult when he ults you later in the game. If you die 5 times under Bane ult, that would be what's going to happen. That is gross. Nightmare is now a unit vector target. Sleeping units walk in Bane's chosen direction at a speed of 110. Can put an alt cast to disable sleepwalking behavior if you just want them to stay still, which is cool. That's nice. Good on that. Batrider now also provides an increasing movement speed bonus that reaches its maximum at the end of Firefly's duration, so he starts getting faster and faster. I'm not going to get into these talents. Beastmaster, remove Rugged Innate. I don't even know what it did. What is his innate now? Oh, okay. Inner Beast. Untaps the Inner Fury of Beastmaster and units he controls, passively increasing their attack speed. So now it's passive. Innate, that is. Wild Axes. Damage up at all levels. Damage amp per stack was decreased, though, by 1, 3, 4, 5. Weird that that's the number, by the way. -1, -3, -4, -5. Very big nerf to the damage amp. Now upgradable with Aghanim's Shard. Beastmaster's attacks on enemy heroes also apply the Wild Axe's debuff, meaning if he hits you with his attack, it gives the corresponding buff. Call the Wild Boar is now renamed to Summon Razorback. Boar's armor increased by 1. Attack damage was also increased. 5 at all levels. Summon Raptors. Call the Wild Hawk renamed Summon Raptors. It's a separately leveled ability. Hawk's armor increased by 1. Cooldown is now its best always. Dive damage is increased by like a little bit. Root duration increased. It's early. Hawk's now invisible whenever Beastmaster is invisible or affected by smoke. Now summons 2 Hawks by default. Hawk's now prioritizes Beastmaster's current attack target when selecting their dive. Bloodseeker. Max health heal changed from 1.5 to plus 1.5 per level to just 1.5 per level. So he just lost the 1.5% flat. Bloodseeker can now only Blood Rage himself. The pure damage he gets with Aghanim's Shard now pierces debuff immunity. That's huge. Big counter to a tanky hero with a BKB. Big Game Hunter is innate for Bounty. Bounty Hunter receives 15% more kill and assist gold if the dying enemy hero is Big Game. Enemy hero is considered Big Game if they are one of the top 3 net worth heroes on the enemy team. These heroes will have a debuff that points out that they're among these 3 heroes. Debuff is visible only to Bounty Hunter and his allies. So basically, any of the carries, which is usually the case, any carry, if Bounty Hunter kills them, he gets 15% more kill and assist gold. Lame. Gold Seal on Janata went up. Why? Early, but still. Shadow Walk now grants bonus movement speed when active. Track does not gain movement speed, though, so it just moved. Whatever. Brewmaster. Max stash resistance was changed to the same thing. No, it's not changed. Primal Split. Earth's Bruling Hurl Boulder stun was decreased, so it doesn't stun as long later. And the Cyclone from Storms also got nerfed the same way. Cool. Bristle. Damage and debuff duration. Let me just read this. Bristleback has a damage and debuff duration amp against enemy heroes that are behind him. So if you're behind him, you take more damage. Damage and debuff duration amplification changed from 10 plus 4.5 per level. Sorry, just 10. Yeah. Sorry, instead of just flat 10 to 4.5 plus 0.5 per level. So to scale up. Viscous Nasal Goo now has 2 more max stacks on someone. Used to have double duration on creeps, and that's just the same on everybody. That's nice. Brewmother. Spider's Milk. Hero health as healed changed from 2 plus 1.9. Sorry, 2 to 1.9 plus 0.1 per level. It's when she kills a unit, she and all units under control receive a buff that heals them for percentage of the victim's health. So it's more. It's just going to be more. Insatiable Hunger now also applies lifesteal to spiderlings within a range of her, so they can heal too. That's a big buff. She moves slower on webs though, so you know. Centaur. Strength gain increased by 0.2, but removed Rawhide. So he doesn't gain max health. Rough. New innate. Centaur War Runner gains 30% of his strength as bonus movement speed. This movement speed bonus does not stack with bonuses from boots. So I guess Centaur just doesn't buy boots now. I hate it. Chaos Knight. Remove Reigns of Chaos innate. Chaos Knight's neutral item gets an additional random enchantment. So, when you craft a neutral item, it gets an additional random enchantment that doesn't provide negative stats. The random enchantment is selected from all available enchantments in that tier, including ones that are normally not available for strength heroes. Due to negative stats, Chaos Knight can't randomly get Crude, Nimble, Keen-Eyed, Titanic, Greedy, Hulking, Audacious, Feverish, and Manic enchantments. The random enchantment is different from the ones used in crafting. Weird. I hate it. Reality Rift, because before it was that he could get bonus illusions, by the way. That was his old one. Cooldown decreased from 18 to 6 to 15 to 6, so it's just it's better early. Chaos Strike. Critical lifesteal increased by just early. Aghanim Scepter no longer provides guarantees to create additional illusion on Phantasm. Aghanim Scepter now provides a passive component to his ability. Whenever an illusion of Chaos Knight is created, there's a 50% chance to create an additional illusion under Chaos Knight's control. Bonus illusion will be under Chaos Knight's control even if other illusions were made by an enemy. Interesting. So if you get Aghanim Scepter now, because it's now part of his axe. All abilities. It says whenever an illusion of Chaos Knight is created, so all abilities he has that could create an illusion, can create multiple. So you usually have to get Ags now, so it's not now in the Ags. But here's the big kicker. Even if the other illusions were made by an enemy. Shadow Demon imprisons you, right? You pop out. Normally it's just Chaos Knight and 2 Chaos Knights fighting him. There is a chance that there'll be another Chaos Knight, and if that Chaos Knight comes out, it belongs to Chaos Knight. There's a 50% chance that there's an illusion for Chaos Knight as well, and that'll fight with him. So even if other people create illusions, they try to like steal stuff, like Dark Portrait from Grimstroke could also create a Chaos Knight for Chaos Knight. Weird. Fun. Zealot, new Emanate, has both passive and active components, improves the game's time. When Shen respawns, he is joined in battle by a Zealot, a melee creep warrior with the Martyrdom ability, which allows him to sacrifice himself to deal damage or heal an ally. Zealot has the same stats as the current melee creeps on his team, including super or mega form, but has 125 attack range, base damage increased by 2 per Chen's level, base health regen increased from 0.5 to 2.5. It doesn't have runty attack type. Martyrdom ability, 500 attack range on Zealot creep, targeting either an enemy or an ally. When cast, the creep sacrifices itself, firing a projectile at 1000 speed, dealing damage if it's an enemy or healing if it's an ally. Damage is 25 plus 20% of Zealot's health, and healing is 50% of these values. 50% of these values. This ability can be cast on a controlled unit to teleport to Chen after 6 second delay. If you self-target, all units come. Holy Persuasion. Lane creeps targeted by Holy Persuasion are upgraded into Zealots, and Zealots receive the benefits from Holy Persuasion. Now may be cast on an existing Persuaded creep that have not been damaged in the last 3 seconds to unsummon them. Unsummoning unit has a global cast range, costs no mana, and sets ability to a 3-second cooldown, in case you wanted to replace. Now increases all creatures' outgoing damage by a percentage, in case they are spellcasters. Self-casting Divine Favor no longer teleports 10 creeps to him. It's now put on Zealot. Weird. Klink's got a 5 movement speed nerf. Good. Strafe. Skeleton attack speed multiplier was decreased by 10%. So they don't attack as fast. Cool. Clock. Armor power. When he gets armor, he does more damage. Yeah. Now also allows Clockwork to consume chainmails to gain +4 armor per chainmail consumed, which it used to do. Mana cost buff to a battery assault. Power cogs. Clockwork can now move freely through the cogs, sinking them down while walking over them. Other units can also walk over sunken power cogs, so if he walks in, it could screw him. Mana cost rescaled, so it's less early. Mana burn was increased, so later it does more mana burn. Overclocking, which is his special ability. Duration increased by 5 seconds. Now also increases battery assault radius to 330. That's huge. It also increases power cogs radius to 330 and provides 25% bonus armor to Clockwork while he's near cogs. So he's tankier. No longer increases his attack speed though. Now increases rocket flare damage, vision, and slow duration by 35. No longer decreases rocket flare cooldown. Weird. Really weird. Really hard to understand. Glacial Guard. A portion of the mana Crystal Maiden spends on her abilities is converted into a physical barrier for 8 seconds. Barriers stack, but each instance is independent. Mana spent to barrier is 30% plus 2% per level. So she's actually able to take a hit now. Arcane Aura now also passively provides Crystal Maiden with mana regen amplification. From anything. Cool. And her attack speed talent was changed to Glacial Guard mana spent to barrier. So she's no longer ever going to be a right clicker. Good. Darkseer's new passive. Darkseer gains 1 attack speed from each point of intelligence. When Darkseer levels up, he restores percentage of his max health and mana. It used to do that anyway. I don't think it did the... I just didn't do the attack speed. That used to be a facet, so they just added that in here. But they decreased the max health and mana restore by 1.5%. Minor. Dark Willow. She gains 20% bonus health and mana regen, increased to 100% while she's untargetable or invulnerable. Okay, so she always has bonus health and mana regen, but it increases if she's untargetable or invulnerable. Weird. Dawnbreaker. Base damage increased by 6. Let's go. Max damage during the day increase. Changed from 25 to 10 plus 1 per level, so it'll take time to scale up. Bonuses granted are now at their maximum for any daytime caused by Dawnbreaker's abilities for the entirety of the daytime. Now upgraded with Aghanim Scepter. Amplifies heals Dawnbreaker provides by Break of Dawn's current damage increase value. Nice. Solar Guardian. Cooldown decreased by early anyway. Now causes a 6-second temporary daytime when the cast starts. Aghanim Scepter no longer increases heal per pulse. Lame. It instead just does this based on day. So she lost the movement speed to allies. Now instead of the slow, it does the movement speed to allies in this talent. And now she can also get the bigger critical strike. They did buff her cooldown reduction, so she can use her ult more often. Okay, interesting. Dazzle Weave. No longer levels with Nothal Projection. Armor change per stack was rescaled, so it's kind of its 3rd level always. Duration changed, so it's much shorter earlier, but it scales with level. Applying a stack of Weave on an ally heals them for 60 per stack. That was cool. Nothal Projection. No longer does a hard dispel on Dazzle when projection ends. No longer upgraded with Ags. There's a pretty big nerf to Dazzle, I think. We're still at D, oh my god. We have 25 minutes I was hoping to be done. Death Prophet. Base armor increased by 1. Nice. Movement speed bonus changed. So it's less at level 1, so it'll take longer to scale up. Cooldown reduction lost its original value, so she lost the 0.75%. Now it just scales. Silence goes even faster now. It's been doing that a while, it's just faster than it hits. The ghost spawn faster during ult as well. Disruptor. His thing that pushes you back, that now deals damage equal to 1.5 times of intelligence, so it actually hurt more. Thunderstrike. The damage was increased at all levels. It's no longer upgraded with Ags, though. Kinetic Fence is now upgraded. So it's always Fence now. He lost Field. Let's be clear about that. Now it's just Fence. Oh, is there a replacement?
Disruptor.
Oh, okay. It's an Aghanim Shard that gets this in addition. Cast range increased. Cooldown decreased. Duration increased to its max. It's all the minimums, maximums. Can be increased with kinetic field duration talent, so it'll affect them both. It does take longer to form, though. Instead of 0.4, it takes a while to form. That's gross that he can do both, by the way. Now I can put a field down and then put fences to block as well. Talent. It is number modification. Ooh, they changed his 20 talent. Instead of the radius knockback of his passive, it's giving bigger ult radius. Oh, but I guess it's a smaller number, though. Instead of Glimpse cooldown, 2 Glimpse charges. That's disgusting. That's a disgusting level 25 talent. That is so gross. I don't think Infuri knows, and he needs to know. he needs to know right now. Doom. I'm gonna go back to my thingy. I'll get a notification when he responds. Level Pain. When Doom attacks enemy heroes, he applies a curse upon them. After 2.5 seconds, the cursed hero bursts with a pillar of fire, damaging itself and all enemy units around it. For 50% of the damage taken from Doom over this duration. So it's like a Maledict proc. Including damage from the attack that applied the curse. If the cursed hero's level is a multiple of 6, the hero's damage and radius will be increased by 66%. Well, that's crap, though, because the max level... Oh, I guess the max level is... Never mind. 5 times 6. Devour. Now, the default cast gained on learning Devour is the one that grants abilities of devoured creeps. And all cast state keeps the ones that Doom currently has. Cooldown decreased by 4. Nice. Upgraded with the Shard. Replaces cooldown with 2 charges with 66 restore time. Allows the Devour ancient neutral creeps. Gain spells also have 20% bonus AoE and 40% spell amp. Interesting. Unfortunately, that hurts Scorched Earth, though. Oh, but they gave some the ability. The radius is increased by 66, because they want to make that joke of 66, 666, 66%. It now also provides health regen, like it used to with the Shard. Infernal's stun went from 0.6 to 0.66. That's so funny. That's literally so funny. Damage per second increased, and they only did it on the last level, so instead of 6.5, it's 6.6, just as a note. Aghanim Scepter now also provides break. Aghanim Scepter no longer increases damage. Yep, 66 damage instead of the Ancients. Scorched Earth cooldown replaced with Doom cooldown, way better. Doom Break replaced with permanent Scorched Earth. It's always there. Interesting. So, Break. So, can it not mute? Silences and it breaks. I guess it doesn't mute ever, right?
My flame burns brighter.
No, I guess it doesn't. Oh, no, there it is. It just didn't say it. It's his own 25. Yeah. Because they replaced the break and put it into the... Yeah. It can still mute. That means 25, you can have both. Dragon Knight. Strength gain decreased by 0.4. Good. Movement speed decreased by 5. Good. It has to... it scales on the damage reduction. It's not as bad early. Cast range did go up, though. Gross. Dragon Tail no longer is an Elder specific cast range. It's just the same always. So you can't ult and then have it ranged? Is that what I'm understanding? Worm's Wrath now always grants bonus magic damage on attack and area effect bonus. Elder Dragon Form now evolves per level. The bonuses are cumulative. Corrosive Poison that deals magic damage. Splash Attack. Frost. Slow attack speed. The bonus movement speed used to be 20, it now does more. That's why I got nerfed on movement speed. Shut up. By the way, did you really see the one that mattered, by the way? Because one was worse than everything else. That's it. No. But it is literally, if you are almost any hero in the game, you are 100% for 2 glimpses. Because the worst part is you could BKB off the first glimpse, right? If they still have vision when BKB ends, his other glimpse is already... It's still off cooldown. It's a second charge. He just pulls you. There's no way out. Before, at least, oh, there's a longer cooldown. I might escape. Nope. Disruptor's just going to follow after you and wait until... Make sure he keeps vision so he can just pull you then. It's gross, dude. So gross. It's all the same stuff. It's just how it used to be back in the old day with ult. More damage than Fireball, which is probably necessary, but lasts less. Okay. Drow. 2 damage up. Nice. Precision Aura no longer levels with Marksmanship. Agility base bonus was rescaled to just being 10, which is really low. It's in between 2 and 3. That's kind of rough. Frost Arrows now also modifies incoming healing with Aghanim Scepter. Knockback duration now scales inversely with distance from the target. That means the closer you are, the further you push. Now allows Drow Ranger to move with a 35% penalty with multi-shot always, because that was one of her facets. Glacier doesn't increase the number of multi-shot arrows. No longer grants True Strike on the hill. Now Drow Ranger deals 25% more damage from the facet when she's on high ground. On the Glacier in particular, though. It's probably a nerf overall, honestly. She got nerfed. Earth Spirit. Max charges change from 7 plus 1 per 4 levels to 7 plus 1 per 4 levels. Oh, it just means he gets it 1 level earlier. I see it. Yeah, I honestly think that he needs more buffs. Because, yeah, he can't just kill an entire team by himself. Slugger. No longer levels with Echo Slam. Damage. Creep Death changed. So it's less, but it scales. Same thing with the... Yeah, it'll scale up. I'm not worried about the numbers. Fissure. Stun duration was increased at all levels, actually. Just a bigger stun. Aftershock's radius increased too, so it's easier for him to just stun you by being near him. And Echo Slam's projectiles are going faster, so it's harder to like try to do something to stop yourself from getting hit with the Echo Slam projectiles. They're coming faster, which is definitely needed. Honestly. It's just annoying that you can have an Echo that like takes time to get to you. It's also because you get hit instantly, but the projectiles don't match that. So that too, it should fix the weird matchup. Titan's armor increases based on his movement speed. Only above the base value, though. Astral Spirit no longer gives armor on return, but does give movement speed, which then will give armor. Earth Splitter now scales down on cooldown. Nothing crazy, honestly. Ember. Strength gain increased by 0.2. Gross. Immolation. Damage per second is changed, so it has to scale up. It'll, like, never be that strong. It'll almost always be weaker for almost the entire game, because level 24 is what it'll take to equal out. So pretty late. The radius did increase, though, so it'll hit more people. And the Shard got nerfed. Bonus hero damage was increased. He does even more damage when he Sleights a Fist. Oh no, and Furry, Sleight of Fist got buffed again. By a lot, actually. 25, 20, 15, 10. I know it's less at the end, but like the early is what matters, right? Level 1, level 3, those are what it matters. Enchantress, damage increase changed from 4/4 to just 4%, so she lost 4% damage on Rabble Rouser. So the neutral creeps don't do as much. Good. Enchant, and cast range increased. Later game for enchant, whatever. Oh, when she enchants an enemy hero to slow them, it increases her attack range for Enchantress and enemies under her control. So actually, that's going to be gross for like a right click, like 3 Enchantress carry. No longer has a gravity well. Units in a radius moving away from Enigma have a movement speed penalty, which used to exist. Void. Distortion Field. Now only applies to projectiles targeting Faceless Void or an allied hero that's close to him. So if he's in the way, but a hero's way far away, it wouldn't apply. Max slow distance rescaled from 600 around Faceless Void to 500. Enemy attack projectile speed slow rescaled, so it's always at second level, so it's not as slow. Time Walk. Aghanim Scepter now also provides reverse Time Walk sub-ability. Aghanim Scepter's Time Walk attack will no longer miss if reverse Time Walk is used too quickly. So I guess if you went like, woo, it wouldn't hit them. Time Dilation. Duration no longer counts down while under the effect of Chronosphere, so you'll just keep it on you. Now upgrade with Ag's Shard. Increases attack, movements, and movement slow per cooldown by 5%. Provides Faceless Void with bonus movement and attack speed by the same values per each enemy hero cooldown extended. The bonus degrades over the duration of the buff. Okay. Chronosphere is now the default ultimate, always. So it doesn't get that silly time zone thing. Good. I hated it anyway. Grim. Ink Trail, now also applied when an enemy hero is affected by any of Grimstroke's ability. Now also applied by attacks from Grimstroke's illusions. Grimstroke now takes less damage from enemies who have an Ink Trail. Stroke of Fate can be put on all casts to send the stroke straight, so you don't have to curve it. Weird. Gyro. I'm really trying here, Inferred. Base movement speed decreased by 5. Chop, let him take apart items. Afterburner. Whenever Darkcopter damages an enemy with attacks or abilities, he gains 1 movement speed per hero and 0.5 per creep. So he's going to be Speedy Boy. Okay, they're just changing some. That is just a technical change. Doesn't matter. Hoodwink. Mistwood Wayfeather is redirecting when she's near a tree. It's going to be, obviously, it's going to take time for it to level up to certain amounts. Minor change. Acorn Shot. Cast range rescaled. So instead of it's her attack range plus 100, there's just a flat number. It's more now, actually, is the answer. So right-click Hoodwink, coming back. Bushwhack's cast range is longer. Now you don't get evasion for Scurry. What it does instead is it redirects the chance of the innate proccing. Now treats creep heroes as creeps, which means it should fly through them. It just means that if like a creep hero is in the way, it'll go through them and still hit the hero you're aiming at. Huskar. Int gain decreased from 1.5 to 0. It's another character with 0 gain. That's good, because he doesn't need it anyway. Base movement speed went down by 5. He's slower. Inner Fire damage was increased slightly. Knockback duration now scales based on knockback distance. Enemies which are far away receive a flat knockback. Burning Spears. Health cost changed from 4% of current health to 2% of max. So that's much more, actually. Because since Huskar ends up at low health a lot, max health is a bigger deal. Because it doesn't go down. Like, that's gonna be shit. That's so bad. That is so bad for Huskar. Unplayable. Unplayable and good. Berserker's Blood can now be activated for health cost, which is the old ability. It basic dispels and heals him at the end. It's his old thing, basically. Burning Spears got ruined. And no intelligence. I got the joke inferred. Invoker. Max level of Quas, Wex, and Exhort went up by 1, which used to be an ability for him. Ag Scepter Twister damage was decreased, but it scales now. Now whenever Invoker gets Aghanim Scepter or Aghanim Shard, these items are inert in the inventory until Invoker activates them manually. Upon activation, he will be presented with 3 upgrades to choose from. Upgrades themselves for both Aghanim Scepter and Shard are unchanged. You can't change selected upgrades. Selling Aghanim Scepter and buying again will provide the same upgrade you chose the first time. Aghanim Scepter no longer provides 1 to all levels of 3 orbs. Now provides +1 level only to a single orb you choose. Which means whichever one you choose will actually be even stronger than what you're seeing here. Because they all went up by a level. Because they front-loaded it. I hate it, actually. I hate it. Io. Io gains outgoing damage amplification the closer it is to full health, and health restoration and healing amplification the closer it is to 0 health. Io always has bonus outgoing damage amp, which literally scales with its health, reaching a maximum of 5% at 100% health. At the same time, Io's health restoration when he's low, yeah. Overcharge now also provides attack speed and spell amp to Io and any tethered allies. Gross. Shikiro. Attack damage reduction changed from 50 to 51 -1, so it actually starts scaling down very quickly. So it'll actually do more damage very quickly. Liquid Fire and Liquid Frost have a mana cost now, but the Aghanim Shard reduces it to 0. Jug. No longer Duelist, which is the extra percentage. Instead, he gets Blade Form. Okay, cool. It's the thing I liked. Instead of Blade Fury being buffed, he got this one. This is the agility bonus, movement speed bonus when he's not hit. That's cool. No more shard upgrade for Blade Fury. Instead, it upgrades Healing Ward, increases healing, and hits to destroy, which is whatever. I don't really care. Oh, nice. Instead of Duelist damage, he just gets the Blade Form stacks more. Now, the problem is he had Duelist and that, so he still lost because he now has to replace, so he probably still does less damage. It's still a nerf to Jug, honestly. Rough. Keeper. Base movement speed decreased by 5. Nice. Keeper of the Light gains 1 movement speed for every 2.5 int. Whenever Keeper of the Light moves 300 distance, he leaves behind light that allows him to see in a 400 range for 3 seconds. Okay, whatever. Chakra Magic cooldown was rescaled, so it's longer early, shorter late. Mana Restore is more early, same late. Blinding Light's cast range is more early, more late. It's just buffed. Spirit Form no longer grants bonus movement speed. Now increases movement speed bonus of Bright Speed, which is his innate. Whatever. Kez. 5 slower. Attack speed. 10 slower. Switch Discipline's cooldown is now longer as a base, so it'll just be longer. Aghanim Scepter no longer helps with the different ability as well when you do the same ability. When target tree now always destroys the target tree and ends at the tree, so Grappling Claw was fixed. Talon Toss has way worse cast range. That's his silence. Shodosai now proc effect now triggers a critical strike only instead of creating a mark. 18% mark replaced with 20% critical strike chance. The stun is more too. And now to do this, the parry bonus, you have to get his shard. Raptor Dance no longer provides magic damage immunity. So it looks like nerfs to Kez, honestly, mostly. Kuka. Jesus Christ, it's taking forever. Can no longer be Admiral's Rum can no longer be applied by multiple sources and will no longer trigger passively if Ghost Ship already applied the buff. Cooldown changed from 6, so it scales down. Bonus movement speed was rescaled, so that's to scale back up. Duration went down by a second. Delayed damage was also decreased by 2. Ghost Ship now applies a 2x modifier on Rum. So it looks like it's a buff to Kunkka, technically. Largo. Encore is that some buffs he applies are longer. Buffs he applies. Bonus duration changed from 10+1 to 9+1, so it's a small buff. Catchy Lick. Can now lick runes to pull them. And it refunds the mana, like Pudge. Health regen duration decreased from 10 to 8. Bonus health regen is now also provided. The target's killed by Catchy Lick. Ag Scepter makes his ult not do damage. But he does have a song that does damage. And it's upgraded with Ag Scepter. Increases magic damage per groove and stack when it's used in double strumming. So you have to use this song in particular. The movement-based one lost movement speed late and slow resistance late as well. So they're both nerfed. So it looks like Largo's getting a couple nerfs because he's a pretty good hero. Legion lost an armor. Her passive, if Legion or an allied hero within 1200 range casts an ability, they gain bonus armor for 6 seconds. Allies gain 50% of the value, though. Weird. Overwhelming odds now applies a 100% movement slow upon dealing damage. So if she does her overwhelming odds and hits you. So like when it hits you, I guess. So when it hits you, it slows you temporarily. Aghanim Shard increases its radius and grants a damage barrier. That's one of her facets originally. Press the attack. Can now be upgraded with Ag's Scepter. Increases bonus movement speed. Ability becomes cast point, affecting all allies. Moment of Courage no longer has a 25% proc chance. Now automatically triggers after taking a certain number of attacks like Axe. Will not activate unless Legion's being both attacking and being attacked. Until this requirement is met, the prepared stage is kept indefinitely. Cooldown decreased dramatically, like Axe. That means that if I attack Legion once, she doesn't suddenly just counter, which is what she was doing. So good. Legion can now use any abilities during duel. Legion Commander will stop attacking as normal during cast animations, if she has to. Items cannot be used. No longer upgraded with Shard. Aghanim Scepter upgrade reworked. When Legion Commander wins a duel, press the attack is automatically triggered around her, which it used to be anyway. That's not new, actually. So, since it's no longer upgraded with Shard, that means she no longer gets extra duel damage when she gets her Shard. So she lost a ton of damage. Good. Okay, Diabolic Edict on Leshrac is buffed. It looks like it isn't because the duration went from 10 to 8. You're like, oh, so his damaging thing around him lasts less. It does the same total damage. That's what it says in this. Number of explosions, hence total damage, is unchanged. It just makes the interval go smaller, which means the damage happens faster. Huge buff. You liking Furry? Fast Leshrac damage? Fast tower hit? Lich. Base mana regen was decreased to -1. Weird. He loses mana. Intelligence gain was decreased as well. He now has Sacrifice back, which he used to have forever ago. Lich can instantly kill an ally creep to gain mana relative to its current health and earn experience for it. Health to mana is a percentage. Ability starts on extended cooldown and with no charges, making the first cast possible only at 2 minutes. Sacrifice creeps count as denies, providing experience to enemy heroes. Lich's experience gain is independent from experience enemies gained. Sacrifice creeps, yeah. Okay. Instead of Frost Shield duration, there's now Frost Shield charges. That's cool. And now you get unlimited bounces, which is better than the. I think it's probably, you know, honestly, I'm gonna give a hot take. Sonic was excited to get the unlimited bounces back. I actually think the 100 chain frost incremental damage is better, but it's not an option, so take what you can get. It's fine. Both are fine. Life Stealer. I haven't played him in a minute. Base damage increased by 10. What? Base attack speed increased by 20. It's probably because Ghoul Frenzy got ruined. Base movement speed increased by 5. So Ghoul Frenzy, what's it do now? Are you kidding me? So it used to give him a lot of attack speed. That's what it did. And movement speed. Which, you know, the movement speed he still gets, right? He got some movement speed, and it got added to rage. But the attack speed, 20, it gives a lot, man. Yeah, that's shit. Man, I thought he was looking good. Rage has movement speed bonus. Open wounds costs less. Slows for its max amount. Feast. Heal from target max health was rescaled, so it heals less early, more late. Max health damage is less early, more late. Max health per hero kill is always like a bigger number. No longer increases deny health threshold though, so you could deny too early. They stopped it. You can infest nature creeps by default. Ag Shard, when consuming a creep, enemies also take damage over time equal to 30% of the creep's remaining health. And they ruined some of these too. His Ghoul Frenzy movement speed just changed to movement speed, which is fine. Open Wounds Slow replaced with 50 attack speed on Open Wounds, which I didn't want that, to be honest. Ghoul Frenzy 50 attack speed was replaced with Infest damage. Yeah, I don't know. I think they hit him too hard. Slow Burn is now her ability. Lena's abilities deal an additional % damage as burn damage over time. And they're going to probably lower the damage to... Yeah, they're going to lower these damages to balance out. Yep. Aghanim Shard upgrade reworked. Casting Laguna Blade temporarily supercharges Lena, granting her extra attacks. So she gets the best of both worlds. She gets slow burn, but she still gets the ult, giving her the supercharge. Not quite as much supercharge, but almost as much. I actually think that's good for Lena. She gets the best of both. That's great. That's the same thing, basically. Yeah, honestly, that's not bad. Lion, to hell and back. Killing or assisting in a hero kill provides Lion with 20% debuff duration while that hero is dead. Whenever Lion respawns or resurrects, he gains 20% spell amp for 90 seconds or until he gets kill or assist. So basically, if he kills somebody, now all his stuns are really long. Gross. Lion's ult got 10-second cooldown reduction. Damage per kill decreased from 40 to 30. Nice. Now has empowered melee attacks after cast by default. So he just gets that ability as well. Gross. Aghanim Scepter increases melee cleave from 25 to 50 and longer. It no longer decreases cooldown though, so 30 seconds is his minimum. That's a nerf to the Lion. He can't use finger as much when he gets Ags or anything. So, you know. Lone Druid's attacks go faster. Like the projectile speed, whatever. Luna. Damage for allies themselves changed. This is effect value not changed. Yeah, okay. Okay, they just changed how it's calculated, doesn't matter. Lunar Orbit now applies damage reduction while activated, that's nice. Aghanim Shard increases damage reduction more and gives movement speed, nice. Lycan, damage neutrals change from 2% per level to 18 plus 2%, so way higher. Shard increases the number of wolves by 1 and grants them Hightail ability. Activated to give them 100% evasion, 20 bonus attack speed, and haste and movement for 6. Gross. When he shapeshifts, his controlled units gain critical strike. Gross. Less wolves, but they attack faster. Gross. On the talent. Magnus, we're the M's. We're getting there. It's already past 11, though. Base agility increased by 2. Solid core, no longer levels. That's his passive. No longer levels. It's instead scales up. So it's 25 and then 1 per level. So it's more early though. It's gonna end up being more at most levels. Yeah, basically more at most levels, except here. Some of these levels it'll be less for a little while. power now always affects Magnus with 30% increased value and cannot be cast on himself. Weird. Skewer us farther with Shard. Whatever. Marcy. If Marcy's courier is in the fountain when special delivery is cast, the courier will take all items from the stash before teleporting. So you don't have to think about it now. The courier will automatically attempt to transfer items upon teleporting and head back to the fountain. If the courier has any extra items after trying to transfer or didn't transfer any items, it will stay next to Marcy. Cooldown changed so that it starts scaling down and gets better as the game goes on. That's actually better in Furry. Like, now you don't have to think about it. Like, let me load these items into my courier. Let me then teleport it. No, just hit teleport. It'll just bring them. It's still not a good innate. I'm not going to argue that. It's just, at least it's better. At least it got better. It's still bad. Bodyguard has both passive and active components. Passively grants Marcy lifesteal and bonus base attack damage. When cast on an ally, she provides them with 75% of the bonuses. And a shared barrier that blocks 90 to 300 damage. Damage to the barrier on either Marcy or the target will reduce it for both. As Marcy attacks, she replenishes the barrier. Weird. So, CK lost a bunch. CK had a passive that made every single illusion for the whole game give a higher chance for him to get an illusion. They kicked it back so that now he has to buy his Aghanims for that to happen. So that's a nerf. Now, in exchange, they did give him, like, weird neutral stuff. But, like, I wouldn't say strictly a buff. There was weirdness there. I don't think it's worse. It's just... in exchange, there was costs. A better example is someone who's just got better, like Disruptor. Like, Disruptor's just got better. That's the same as it always was. It just kept the rebound ability. No, right, but like you can't look at just passives in isolation because you're saying, oh, Chaos Knight gets to have a good passive. But if in exchange Chaos Knight has no other abilities, they took them all away in the same like thing. They said, oh yeah, his passive is like he gets 50 damage, and they took away all of his abilities. You can't like. No, yeah, if you're talking about last patch, sure. Yeah, that's pretty lame. No longer considers Mars allies when determining if Mars is outnumbered. So if there's 2 heroes near Mars, he's outnumbered. No, I know. I'm saying if you talk about last patch before this, yes, Marcy had a pretty shit passive. And naturally, she still does have a shit passive. Which is what I already said. I guess in exchange they lowered the percentage. That's fair. So they want dollars to happen more often, but in exchange they don't want to be as bull. I mean, fair. I guess that's fine. I don't think it's a problem. Bulwark is a point targeted ability. Oh, so he can like turn and activate it. That makes sense. No longer upgraded with Ags, which is good. I thought it was stupid anyway. Ags now hits Arena. Lowers cooldown by 10 and increases duration by 1. If the enemy's killed in the arena, Mars and his allies restore 35% of max health and mana and get an attack damage buff. So what they did is they took away the vision thing, though. The biggest nerf I see here is that Mars had the vision where you couldn't see inside his arena. That's the only issue here, is that now that doesn't exist. It probably wasn't fair anyway. It was kind of stupid that you couldn't see inside the arena. But it's still true. Yeah, it's probably still fine. Medusa, Gorgons, the cooldown was decreased at late levels. Cool. It's a weird ability. Now also, always centers the cast cursor around a second grouping, even if the number of volleys is increased. That's just like a UI thing, I think. Whatever. Numbers, number buff, number buff. The split shot got kicked down. They switched to 15 and 20, but they buffed the split shot eventually. So that's actually huge for her late game, by the way. Instead of 8% off her split shot, like the damage reduction, it's 12, which is a buff. That's really nice. Meepo, I'm not gonna... I don't even know what he does. Base movement speed decreased by 5. Good. Meepo grants stacking bonuses to himself and his clones based on their terrain. If there's a tree within 250 range, he receives 1 health regen. If he's standing on solid ground, he receives 2% movement speed. If he's in the water, his attacks slow the target by 2%. Each Meepo can provide only 1 tree bonus no matter how many trees are within the radius. If there's a tree in the water, Meepo will provide both. So if every Meepo's near a tree, they all get 5 health regen. That's what I'm reading. It's weird. I don't know. It's just weird. Oh, it's good. I don't know. Now pierces debuff immunity. Ransack. It probably should. Yeah. Oh, max levels increased to 4. So it's not like a talent anymore, I think. Level requirement was rescaled, so we get some of his abilities earlier, but some late. 24 is really late. No longer grants any magic resistance. Good. Now, each duplicate copies all of Meepo's items. Now, this is interesting. It's like Arcboard. But they share their cooldowns. So that means that, obviously, if they both have a scythe, he can only use 1 effectively. But if you stun the main Meepo and he can't get the scythe off, one of his other Meepos can cast it for him. Rare that would be important, but does matter. Damage, attack speed, health, mana regen, mana burn, and proc chance bonuses from items are distributed equally among the amount of Meepos. So, if there's a chance to proc a Maelstrom, they all have a reduced chance to proc the Maelstrom to equal out, so it seems like it's a normal proc ratio. Okay. Damage 2. Clones can't use consumable shared items on the main Meepo. You can't give Meepo like a salve or something. No longer has a penalty for strength, agility, or intelligence gained from items. You just gain them all. Clones no longer gain 30% experience independently. Meepo gains 100% experience from hero kills or assists as long as at least 1 Meepo is in range. All other experience gained by any Meepo is divided by the number of Meepos. Okay, I think I understand. So back before, if you're in lane, something dies, you're gonna get 100 experience. If Meepo is standing there by himself, you split it, 50-50. If 2 Meepos are sitting there, you split it 33, 33, 33, and a third, whatever. But since Meepo is 2 of those, he gets 67, you get 33. If all of the Meepos are there, all 5 of them, I'll say 4 for easy math. 4 of them, he gets 80 of the 100 experience, and you just get 20. That is actually how it works. I don't know why I said 100 experience, yeah. Whatever it was. The point is percentage-wise. They fixed it, I believe, so now that Meepo, no matter how many are there, he just gets 1 fair share. Mirana. New innate ability, autocast attack modifier, can't be leveled up. Mirana consumes a charge to empower her next attack with bonus magic damage equal to a certain amount. 2 max charges, but gains 1 every 7 levels. So it's 3 max charges, 4, or whatever. Casting Leap provides 3 temporary charges. They ignore the max charge count. Acronym Shard no longer provides crits during Leap. And the casting Leap charges are from Ag Shard. Okay. Seems fine. I don't know. Mischief is its own thing now. Cooldown changed so that it has to scale down. Tree Dance. Cast point was increased, so it's longer to jump. But he can jump farther. So the actual jump takes longer, but the cooldown went down. Leap speed was decreased too, so he's in air longer. He can be interrupted by roots and leashes, which I would assume, I don't know what that would do. Would he fall? I'm not sure. Wukong's command now has a changing the guard sub-ability by default. Yeah, he transforms into a soldier. That's just always there. Yeah, I don't understand all of this, but it seems like it's just adding the old facet. Alright, Morphling now changes his hero model size based on agility versus strength. So when he has a lot of strength, then he gets bigger, and a lot of agility, he's smaller. Ebb and Flow. Strength and agility provide Morphling with additional bonuses. His cast range and slow resistance are increased by strength. His attack range and movement speed are increased by agility. These bonuses are provided even while replicating, except for the extra attack range, which is not provided when replicating a melee unit. So if he gets Sniper, for example, and he had a lot of agility, he would have a lot of cast range. Sorry, attack range. Gross. I can't believe he's going to have extra attack range. I want Morphling out. Waveform has lower cast range, though. That's good. Because he's going to have it when he has agility. More damage on adaptive strike, though. Gross. Oh, and Furry, did you see that all Doom's numbers changed to 6s, by the way? They changed almost all of his abilities to be 6/6 or 6/6/6 or 6 or whatever. It's like all of them. Huerta, Supernatural. Whenever an enemy hero dies within 925 units in Huerta, she gains a stack of 1% spell amp up to a maximum equal to her current level. When Huerta dies, she loses half the stacks. What is she, Storm Spirit? Rounded down. Pierce the Veil. No longer provides any bonus damage. Now grants 75% base damage. Has a passive component. Huerta can always attack ethereal targets, which she always could. And she can attack with ethereal, which she always could. And it's magic when she attacks an ethereal target. Spectral Slug. It's a shard ability. Where it shoots a spectral bullet at an enemy, dealing damage, knocking them back, and turning them ethereal, rendering them immune to physical damage and unable to attack. The target is slowed and becomes 20% more vulnerable to magic damage, which would then allow Huerta to hit them for full damage, because Huerta. I don't know. I think it's fine. She lost a lot of damage on Pierce the Veil, but I think in general this all looks fine. Naga. Eel Skin now provides evasion for Naga Siren on her own. Evasion per Naga changed. Okay. Riptide is now always a basic ability for Naga, so it doesn't change from the other two things. Nature's Prophet. Minimum base damage increased from 4. That's just the minimum, not 4 damage. 4 minimum. This max is the same. It just means this damage has been shrunken a little bit. Spirit of the Forest no longer levels Wrath of Nature. Tree Radius was rescaled to just be a lot less. Multiplier for Treant did go up, though. Treants also have Spear of the Forest and gain bonus damage for each nearby tree and Treant. Oh, okay, so he's going to push harder. Sprout gives more vision. Gross. Treants are slower early, faster late. They are squishier, though. They do have 25% match resistance, so they're harder to clear. They deal bonus damage to enemy heroes. They can free path through trees? That's so stupid. I hate them. I hate them all over again. For once he wasn't in my games. Now I hate him all over again. Sadist no longer levels Reaper Scythe. Health and mana regen rescaled. Yep. Necro has more restoration amplification at late levels. He has a new item to buy for himself too, which we discussed earlier. Instead of Ghost Shroud self restoration amp, he gets spell AoE. Instead of extra Heartstopper, he gets extra scythe damage. Extra scythe damage, you say in Furry. 0.3 per Reaper Scythe damage per health. That's actually a lot. Like, Reaper Scythe as it is already less than 1 per health. So adding 0.3 brings it from 0.9 to 1.2. That's a lot of damage. That's a really good 25 talent. Does he have a different talent that competes? Death Pulse cooldown. I don't know, man. That scythe looks so painful. That's a lot. Hunter of the Night has an innate movement speed bonus changed. It's now an innate, yeah. Movement speed bonus changed. Just the scale. Attack speed bonus changed, yep. Ag Scepter increases bonus movement speed and bonus attack speed. And when you kill an enemy hero, it resets all his cooldowns of basic abilities, not all. Void now affects all units within 400 radius around the target. So it's always... Sorry, with its shard. Shard gives its AoE. Midnight Feast is new ability since we moved Hunter of the Night to a innate. Night Stalker heals himself when attacking enemy units. Attacks on ally units and buildings will not heal Night Stalker. Can be cast at night to eat a non-ancient creep, which is his old shard, and restore some of his max health. So we kind of just got the best of almost everything. Nyx. Mana Burn. This is passive. When Nyx Assassin deals damage with attacks or his abilities, he burns affected units' mana equal to 12% of damage dealt. I don't know if I want to play Dota anymore. Like, what? So stupid. It doesn't say items, though, so a Dagon wouldn't work. It's just attacks or his abilities. But still, Mind Flare now burns a percentage of the target's mana by itself, by the way. Which means if it does damage, it would burn mana and then burn mana again for doing damage. P.S. Vendetta now also breaks for 4 seconds. Aghanim's Shard decreases cooldown by 10. And for the first 15 seconds, Nyx is hasted and has unobstructed pathing. Alright, he's gross. I hate him. Ogre. Fire Blast is now upgraded by Ag Scepter. It becomes Refined Fire Blast, which is what it used to do. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. It becomes Refined Fire Blast. So they'll have both, Refined and Unrefined. So does he have Unrefined always? No, okay, he has to get Ags to get them both. He gets Ags, he gets Unrefined, and Refined. Reducing its cooldown by 1, increasing its cast speed by 25. But in exchange, Unrefined increased its cooldown by 1. And each point of strength increases chance of multicast. So they just put that facet in. Gross. Omni-Knight. Base armor decreased by 1. Agility gain decreased by 0.3. They're making a lot of heroes squishier, by the way. Degen Aura movement slow was changed, so as to scale up. Purification now pierces debuff immunity on enemies. Previously only pierced debuff immunity on allies. So it means that if you heal your ally next to an enemy who is debuff immune, it'll still do all its damage. Propel, cooldown decreased dramatically. 10 at first level and 7 at last level. But no longer provides strength or any HP regenerating thing. As a result, provides only debuff immunity with 60% magic resistance and bonus health regen. Hammer of Purity now pierces debuff immunity. It also has a lower cooldown dramatically. Bonus base damage did go down at all levels. Damage was also decreased at all levels. Now heals Omni-Knight for 30% of the damage dealt, though, over 5 seconds. Guardian Angel is an aura centered around Omni-Knight always that follows him. So you just have to stay near him. Duration was decreased, though, pretty dramatically. 1 to 2 seconds, basically. 1.52. The radius did increase to 700, though. Aghanim Scepter becomes global. Affects buildings and amplifies health restoration by 100. So, honestly, it's about the same hero. Just change some numbers around. Oracle now also predicts Roshan's exact respawn timer. That is absolutely unhinged. That is so good. That is crazy. That is one of the best innates in the game. If they took away his ability to predict runes, and it just knew when Roshan was going to spawn, it would already be one of the best innates in the game. Now the fact that it still does the rune prediction, that is crazy. Because, like, knowing when Roshan's going to spawn means that Oracle's team will always get Rosh on second 1. So when the enemy team is not sure if he could have even respawned, suddenly, boom, they're in the Rosh pit. Because they already knew. They knew exactly when it was going to be there. They'd smoke and just walk right in. First second. And you don't know. You're like, oh, is Roshan here? Should we go check? Should we go walk over there? Should we waste our time because we're worried about Oracle? Yep. False Promise doesn't get changed by Ag, so that's the Indiz and all that stuff, I think. Diviner's deck, new ability. It's his new Ags. Oracle receives a tarot card buff now and every 90 seconds. This buff is undispellable and lasts until the next one replaces it. Oracle knows which buff will be next. Death. 40% spell amplification. The Fool. 100% gold gain. The World. 150% intelligence. The Lovers. 40% heal amp. The Tower. Gain a 400 all damage barrier which regenerates after not taking damage for 7 seconds. That's disgusting. Play me some Oracle, I'll tell you that. OD. Base agility decreased by 5. Base armor decreased by 1. Removed as innate, of course. Essence Flux is now as innate. So it's the mana restoring. Yeah, we know that. New basic ability. Objurgation. Increases maximum mana by a certain amount. Can be activated to create an all damage barrier equal to a number plus a percentage of his max mana. Barrier can be dispelled. Multiple instances do stack. Upgraded with Ags. Increases max mana to barrier by 4%. Damage that would bring OD below 20% is prevented, triggering a strong dispel and an automatic instance of undispellable objurgation. This effect cannot trigger more than once every 80 seconds, but refreshes on death. Sanity's cooldown was decreased, so he has it more up at early levels. Radius was decreased at late levels, so it's smaller. Why'd they just hate OD? They're slowing his attack speed. They're lowering 2 armor, essentially. 2 armor. And Objurgation is worse than his other Ags. It just clearly seems to be worse, as far as I'm reading. Pango. Slow duration increased. Damage slightly increased. Less armor. Shred. Nerf. Always its max stun. That's it. That's all they did to Pango. Phantom Assassin. Blur. Banish radius rescaled. That's when people trigger it. It's between its 2nd and 3rd level always, which is fair. Vanish buffer was rescaled. That's how long it is until it unvanishes if you vanish when you're already in range of somebody. So it's always at 3rd level. That's fair. The movement speed when you activate it now scales, which is cool. Phantom Lancer. Minimum damage increase changed from 2 per 3 levels to 2 per 3 levels. Increased 1 level earlier. Okay. Phoenix now has Dying Light. He doesn't have the miss chance, which is lame. Phoenix deals 4% of his missing health as magic damage to all enemies. It's present during Supernova. Okay. Yeah, they just got rid of the miss chances. It was probably too strong. I think it's fair. Primal Health is 10% base slow resistance and gains 0.5% area of effect and 1% slow resistance for every 100% max health. Pulverize AoE radius decreased, so its stun isn't as far out. Whatever. Puck. Health mana restore rescaled. So So instead of 10 flat and then 2% of Puck's mana and health, it's just 3%. Now 3% is probably going to be a bigger number, normally. But at least it's just that. Spell dodge multiplier was decreased from 3.5 times this number to 3 times. So even though it increased, it then decreased this. So Illusory Orb now has curved vector targeting by default. Can be put an alt cast to launch the orb straight. Speed increased dramatically, so it's fast. Now additionally deals 3% of orb's impact damage every 0.5 seconds in its AoE. So the longer it goes, the more damage it does, I guess. Flesh Sheep, permanent bonus strength was rescaled, so it's in between its second and third level always, so Pudge will be squishier. Needed. Rot. Yeah, just fix that. Pug now, we're into the P's, we're getting there, even though we're way late right now. Base movement speed decreased from 330 by 5. He lost 5. A lot of people got slower. Now also increases Pugna's spell amp by 1.5 per destroyed tower. That was one of his facets. Nether Ward's damage source changed from Nether Ward to the caster. What that means is, it's not Pugna. It doesn't say it's Pugna. You take damage from yourself. Does that mean it stops blinks? It doesn't cancel blinks anymore? I am so very curious. I am not sure. I feel like it wouldn't stop blink. Because if you do self-damage, it doesn't cancel blinks.
Oh, goody, I'm so terribly excited.
No, it still cancels blinks. What about Blade Mail? Does it mean the caster as in Pugna? Because if it does, that would be interesting too. Did it hit Pugna? I can't even tell. I should have done a test first. It brought Pugna to 678. Now with Blade Mail, it does. So it counts as Pugna dealing the damage. So if this hits Ogre with a Blade Mail, it hurts Pugna. Now, how often is that going to come up in any reasonable amount of time? Right, honestly. But if you have a big mana hit like Skywrath Mage doing thousands, maybe. Really weird. Why'd they just say Pugna? Why'd they say the caster? Alright. Quap, because she had some stuff, things changed. So to give her the reflected damage back kind of idea, they buff Scream to be more damage, but now she gets some of the damage back at her, even with Axe. That's all. So they want to give her more damage like she used to have with the other facet, since the other one, Succubus, is built in. Razor. He steals damage faster. Storm Surge is it's not a passive. It's not an innate, because Razor's innate is unstable current, but it's a passive. If you upgrade it with Ag's Shard, when Eye of Storm is active, Storm Surge strike chance is two times as high. It's more likely to hit you like this part. So whenever someone attacks or casts Spell Razor, it like comes back at them. It's more likely to happen. Okay, Ricky. Agility multiplier changed from, so it's just worse. His effective values are not changed. Oh, it's because he gets it at level 1. Miss rate? Oh, smoke screen. More missing early, less late. More slow from Blink Strike. He still ruins, though. More cast range than tricks with Ags, I don't care. Alright, now he doesn't get the other list of his Dark Carnival things, he just gets these ones. Which are the first ones he ever had. Escape back. Targeted unit is no longer stunned for 0.5 seconds when placed in a box, because there is actually like a delay. Now it won't stop you. In Ags, the radius and Aghanim's explosion now affected by AoE bonuses, so it could be bigger. He gets less impalement arts. It just stops at 3. Less starting damage, but gets better later. Less early damage, but more late. Nothing crazy. Rubik, we're into the R's. We're getting there. If I can finish by 12, I'll be kind of happy. Because it's kind of a lot. Base damage increased by 1. No more Might and Magus, by the way. Let's see what it gets instead. Rubik gains 1 stack of its Curiosity. 1 stack of Curiosity per level. Each granting him 1 base damage, 0.3% buff, debuff duration, 2 area effect bonus. If Rubik sees an enemy hero cast an ability within 1200 radiant range, he gains 2 Curiosity for 20 seconds. If an enemy that currently provides temporary Curiosity dies within 3 seconds after taking damage from Rubik, he gains 1 Curiosity permanently. So if somebody's within 1200, casts a spell, and within 20 seconds dies. Oh, within 3 seconds of Rubik doing damage. Also, there's kind of a lot of like conditions. Doesn't seem that strong. He lost a lot of his damage stuff, to be honest with you. A lot of what made Rubik strong, like on top of like with his old innate, which made things very strong.
Grand Magus.
I would say it's still a nerf for Rubik. Telekinesis, I don't know the difference between 35% and 225. .225 is definitely farther. You throw farther with Axe Shard. Ooh, Fade Bolt now reduces spell and attack damage. Both. But less late. Spell Steal no longer grants debuff amp. So it doesn't deal longer stuns from Rubik. But their cooldown is decreased. A lot of talent changes. I'm just gonna see if any of them are big. No, just the 2 times Curiosity bonuses at 25. Caustic, base damage rescaled. I'm just gonna scale up. Max health damage rescaled. Duration decreased, so it doesn't last as long, the Caustic. That means he has to kill faster for it to matter. Cast range increased on Burrow Strike. A little bit at all levels, 25. Sinking now immediately regains invisibility if the Burrow Strike ends within Sandstorm's AoE, so it allows him to do more like fancy stuff, which is cool. Shadow Demon. Damage amplification changed. Yeah, it's just going to scale up. It's going to be more, honestly, by the end. A lot more. So he's going to do a lot of damage amp from Menace. Disruption can target Spirit Bear. Cool. Disseminate shared damage is rescaled to be much less early, but more late. Which is cool. It means you can't just teleport into a fountain and kill people, but... because the less damage could mean that definitely doesn't work. But later games can be really valuable. Damage per soul rescaled. Damage per soul rescaled. So... it'll take a lot longer for Necro to... oh, it leveled with his souls. So actually, no, it'll be about the same. It won't matter. I don't know how it doesn't matter. Base max souls was decreased, though. It's always its minimum value. That sucks. Shadow Rage damage decreased. That's probably pretty fair. but damage is increased by 3 per Necromastery Soul. So it'll probably end up being more, actually, if he has souls. An Aghanim Shard now also applies a slow, like Shadowmire used to. Feature Souls doesn't cost souls. He gains souls from surrounding enemies. Shadow Fiend gains souls from 2 enemies in a 600 radius. Each individual enemy can provide souls once, with creeps giving 1 soul and heroes providing 3. Can collect souls from up to this many enemies. After the effect is over, Shadow Fiend loses the souls whose owners are still alive, retaining the rest for 8 seconds. So basically, he gets a bunch of souls and makes himself super strong, but then loses some of it after. Requiem of Souls cannot use more than 20 souls per cast. Because it could be too many and it could be too strong. Aghanim Scepter no longer has a damage penalty on the returning Requiem Souls. So now, since it's capping at 20, the returning souls don't need to be weaker because it's capped. I think Shadow Fiend's looking interesting. Very weird. Very soul heavy now. Shadow Demon. Shaman. Shadow Shaman. That hero. Foul Play. Now adds Chicken Illusions per 5 levels. Now also provides bonus movement speed. Always? Or just when he goes down? No, just when he goes down. Urnaconda. It's a new ability granted by Agshard. Throws a jar at a location, deals damage to all enemies, and creates a massive serpent ward that lasts for 15 seconds. The ward has 4 times health and damage of the normal serpent wards. So he no longer has big serpent ward. So this is just like an extra ward you can just like throw down. And the cooldown's not that long. It's 50 seconds. So that's interesting. I like that better. Silencer gained 2 movement speed. Alright, so Silencer takes less damage from and deals more damage to silenced targets, which was a thing. If an enemy hero dies, he still steals int, by the way. Silencer permanently steals 1 int from the target. If the victim was silenced, specifically, an extra 1 point of int will be stolen. Gross. It just means that if he just hits you while you're running, you almost lose 1 int, though. Arcane Curse no longer has a slow, 1.25 slow and damage multiplier against silenced units, because now he just does more damage against silenced units. Glaives cost less. Now Shard increases in steel and causes Glaives to bounce onto 1 random unit. Gross. Whenever Scar's Mage deals magical damage, he gains a magic damage barrier, which is what he was doing anyway. That was one of his things. Yeah, that's just changed to bear. Slaughter. Bonus HP regen changed. So that's the scale. Aghanim Scepter bonus HP regen decreased by 2. Bonus armor changed. So it scales. Flat bonus damage scales. It's a percentage too. It's not just flat damage, it's a percentage damage, which is interesting. Slaughter now has 100% slow resistance for the first 2.5 seconds of Guardian Sprint. Cool. Slaughter. Duration for Essence Shift has to scale up. That matters, obviously. So at level 1, it should be the same. Yeah, it should be the same always. Saltwater Shift. Stacks have independent durations and don't refresh previous ones. That's lame, by the way. That's a huge nerf. Because before, you could keep hitting and keep getting them, but now you don't. Cooldown was increased, so it's longer. Mana cost is more, whatever. Cast range is now Slark's attack range plus 50, so you actually hit easier. But he does steal more in exchange. Because of the fact that they don't stack, he steals twice the amount on all of them. And since now the change to health restoration, it buffed that too. So I guess technically, since they're twice as good, I suppose I'd rather them be twice as good, since oftentimes someone will die soon enough anyway, so that the idea of refreshing them is kind of whatever. They last 12 seconds, so it's, I guess it sort of sucks, because 8 seconds means you're only going to have 2 stacks on someone at any given time. But it's the same as having 4 seconds on them, like 4 stacks. Yeah. I think it's alright. Boomstick. Snap deals more damage with her attacks and abilities, the closer she is to the target. Maximum damage amp is 35. And the higher her level, the more flexible it is on distance. And Scatter Blast does less damage point blank. Cool. Keen Scope. Now increases damage from snipers' attacks for every 100 units of distance between him and the target. Also affects damage from assassinate. Blah, 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 blah. Stupid. So stupid. Oh, I missed one comment. It no longer increases attack range, though. That's rough for sniper. Until you see the take aim got the attack range back. So, like, he just got a buff. That's all it is. Assassinate no longer increases attack damage by 100, 110 to 120% because he just gets it from attacking. So Sniper just got buffs. That's all. Just buffs. Spectre got 5 more movement speed. Base health regen increased by 0.5. Desolate scales up. I think it's the same. Yeah. She can Shadow Step more often. Cast range was increased at early levels. Illusion damage increased at early levels. Illusion damage taken goes down as she levels. Haunt cooldown decreased at early levels. Duration is always its middle level. Illusion damage scales up at late levels. Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker gains bonus movement speed whenever he stuns an enemy. Effect depends on the unit type. Effects from multiple stuns do stack. Charge of Darkness is no longer upgraded with shards, so he can't get faster anymore, which is good. Good nerf. Greater Bash. Increases knockback. If a knockback enemy collides with another enemy, the second enemy is also bashed. And the first enemy takes more damage. Planar Pocket. This is Shard. Cooldown is longer. Self-magic resistance is less. If it's more than 900 units, it just ends it. So, at least they gave his talent 60 Charge of Darkness bonus speed, because he got 100 from his shard, so at least he gets most of his speed still, but he has to take a talent for it. Alright, leveling up Ball Lightning no longer grants 3 galvanized charges. I don't know why it did anyway. No, that's not to say that Galvanize is good. It just doesn't make sense that he got charges when... when he levels. That's just, so atypical. Now, he should have something else that makes it good. Like, change how many he gets per kill or something. Decrease how many he loses. Make the statue bigger. Like, I'm not saying that he needed it to be nerfed. That was just... It shouldn't have given him charges when he leveled up. He should have got charges some other way. And they gave Storm the Remnant's move thing. Sven got a base strength. It did take Winter Vanquisher, though, which was a lot of damage. Instead, he has Wrath of God. Increases attack damage Sven gains per point of strength per level. Oh, okay. Well, there it is. It's back. It just is innate now. It's very similar. Not quite the same, but... Warcry has an Ag Shard rework. Makes Warcry undispellable, increases radius. It provides a physical damage barrier as well. And movement speed. Techies. New innate. When mana regen... Increase mana regen by a portion of Techies' max mana. When Techies dies, they leave behind a barrel that explodes after 1.5 seconds, dealing magical damage equal to 50 plus 30% of their max mana to enemies. Which is a lot. Upgradable with Shard. Increases mana to damage by 10%. Adds an active component. Techies plants the Mad Barrel and detonates it later by using a sub-ability. The Mad Barrel is invisible and can be destroyed before the detonation process begins. Detonating the barrel makes it visible and immortal, and then it explodes after the same 1.5 second delay. Only one MAD can exist via the active cast at one time. Barrel is planted via a 1 second channel. Barrel health 200. So basically, you can choose with Shard to actually have an active part of this. You still drop one when you die, but you can actually have an active part. And that's interesting. I actually am not against it. Now, Reactive Taser can always be cast on allies, higher cast range. Blast Off now does self-damage before damaging enemies. That means the techies can die before the enemy, if they both die. Techies is rooted and disarmed instead of self-stunned, which means Techies could still cast an item. Like anything. Like a Heaven's Halberd or something. Damage source changed from proximity mines to caster. That means that same thing as Pugna. If you run into a mine and blade mail, it will hurt techies. Minefield sign is Ag Scepter. Templar Assassin. Base health regen decreased to 0. Lame. New innate, Inner Peace. After remaining stationary for 0.25 seconds, Templar Assassin begins meditating, gaining bonus health regen. That makes sense. And mana regen. Bonuses literally increase from 0 up to their maximum, which is reached after 2 to 0.5 per level. It depends. Moving from the current position or taking damage from an enemy resets regen bonuses. Max health regen is... Okay. Weird. Who wants to stand still? I think that his stacking really needs to be fixed tremendously. It just needs to be more. Even if he lost the same amount, right? Lose the same amount, whatever. If they were just bigger, like did more per stack, it wouldn't matter. It would be fine. They just need to do more because the stack's just Refraction can, with Shard, Refraction can be cast while disabled and increases bonus damage tremendously. Meld. If you break out of Meld and you split with Side Blades, every person in the Side Blades Y will all get hit with the Armor Shred and bonus damage. Ag Scepter affects Psionic Trap. Trap silence enemies. Interesting. They do now. They just changed it so that somebody else has a thing. Who was it? Someone else just got a change where they have stacks that they lose. Shoot. There was a hero. I'm trying to remember what it was, and I'm not. Why do I not remember? Muerta. Sure. Muerta's the one. She has stacks now, too. Terror. Base armor increased by 1. Oh, great. He has like 13 armor. Illusion damage is increased at all levels. Demon Zeal. I agree. Demon Zeal, the cooldown was decreased tremendously, and the duration was decreased too, though, so it's up more often, but doesn't last as long. I think that's still fair. Big buffs to Terror. Tidehunter. Strength gain increased by 0.1. He doesn't have Blubber anymore. He has Leviathan's Catch. Whenever an enemy hero dies while affected by any Tidehunter's debuff or is killed by him, they drop a fish. Tidehunter can eat the fish to grow in size and permanently gain 3 max health, 2 attack range, and 1 bonus damage block. Tidehunter automatically eats a fish on every level up. Bonus damage block is only applied if there's a source of damage block being applied to an incoming physical attack. Meaning, the damage block doesn't create damage block, it modifies it. So he must have like a Vanguard or something. The fish flies forward and units towards Tidehunter upon spawning. Stays in the world indefinitely and can be destroyed by an attack from Tidehunter's enemies. So they can stop him from eating it. Radius change on Tidehunter's anchor. So it modifies his attack range now. So his attack range increases, so does it. Kraken Shell now applies a strong Dispel to Tidehunter if he takes more than... That's the blubber part is applied to Kraken Shell. And actually, Tidehunter already has damage block. I think the reason they included that comment about having damage block is if he doesn't have Kraken Shell, he doesn't just suddenly have damage block. It modifies Kraken. Mana gain per tree destroyed changed to just scales, whatever. Tinker. We're T. We're almost there. Base health regen increased by 0.5. Base movement speed decreased by 5. No more defense matrix. Aghanim Scepter does not make laser bounce anymore. Big nerf. But Marks of the Machine says Scepter. Robots apply a non-stacking heal over time of 35 health per second to allies that come through. So that's his old healing ability is now in Ags. Deploy turrets. New ability that replaces defense matrix. After a 0.5 second delay, airdrop a group of 3 uncontrollable turrets at the target, dealing magical damage, destroying trees, and pushing away enemies. Turrets seek enemies, heroes within up to 800 range, and shoot missiles in the direction. These missiles deal, up to 80 magical damage to an enemy it hits, and 50% of the damage to other enemies. Like it's an AoE. Each turret has a little health, but they only last 4.5 seconds anyway. Each of 3 turrets activate with a small delay after the previous one, activating it's like one, then the next, then the next. You can dodge the missiles by moving. They only target heroes, by the way, but they can hit creeps by chance. Turrets prioritize the same hero until they're out of reach. They do give gold and XP if you kill them. Ag Scepter upgrade. Turrets activate faster. Rearm cooldown was also decreased. Warp Flare. Farther distance if you have higher cast range. Tiny. Insurmountable. Slow resistance now applies to attack speed slows. Tiny gains slow resistance equal to 25% of his strength and status resistance equal to 10% of his strength. Interesting. Avalanche. Mana cost increased. Damage decreased. Toss. Mana cost rescaled, so it's like its second level always. Tree Grab. Mana cost decreased at later levels. Cooldown just decreased in general. Cast range increased, which means you can grab trees from farther. Attacks rescaled, so it scales up. No longer upgraded with Aghanim Shard, though, so he can never have unlimited trees. Tree throw doesn't slow by default, so when he throws it doesn't slow you. Aghanim Shard upgrades grow. Thrown trees and toss units slow. Sorry, do more damage, a radius, and apply slow. And attack speed slow as well. Damage does not increase for the toss unit itself. Tree Volley now uses the bonus damage value of Tree Throw and bonuses from Axe Shard. But still, he can't permanently tree grab, so hey. Tree Protector. I'm so close. Nature's Guys, cooldown change from 35. Yeah, it just scales now. I think it's the same. Value unchanged. Living Armor. Mana cost increased. Max damage block decreased tremendously. It has to scale up now. Damage block decrease improved. That means how much the damage block goes down as the units hit. So that's a buff to the Living Armor. Eyes in the Forest. The cooldown is way longer. The duration is longer for them to exist, though. And max charges was decreased to 2. Yeah. That's rough. Troll Warlord. He gets 1 armor per 3 in battle stance. He gets 1 armor per 30 bonus attack speed. That's nice. Berserker's Rage no longer gives armor, that's why. Tusk. Bitter Chill. That's the slowing attack speed. Now it scales. It only affects enemy heroes and not anything else. Tag Team is default now. He gets drinking buddies through Ag Shard. There's no longer a shard for ice shards to be deeper and deal damage by standing in them. So yeah, he just gets both tag team and drinking buddies. Cool. Underlord. Invading Forest. Damage reduction rescaled. It just it scales now. Same thing with the movement speed. His wave damage is up later on. The damage reduction of Atrophy Aura is more at all levels. Gross. Undying, we're into you. We're so close. Oh my gosh, this is more than I thought. Get me out of here, furry. Base health regen increased from being negative to positive. Negative 0.25 to 0.25. Base agility increased by 3. Base armor decreased, though. When he's in Flesh Golem, he spawns the current level of Tombstone Zombie every hit. It's a big buff. Venge. Got 5 movement speed. Base attack time went down, which, it's better to have lower attack time. Retribution now makes Vengeful Spirit gain benefit of both melee and ranged. Now Killer's icon is shown as a buff on Venge to know who to hate, like who she'll do more damage to. Vengeance Sword now provides 1.2 times the bonus for Venge herself. Ag Scepter no longer refreshes ability cooldowns when activating. Now increases self bonus up to 1.3 times. Is now fully affected by Vengeance Aura bonus, the illusion, and the damage taken is decreased by 15%. So I just made her Ags better. Veno. Poison Sting is the innate, so the damage over time in the slow is innate. Venomous Scale, its shard now increases cast range and projectile speed. It creates 2 plague wards when it hits a hero. Snake Bite, new ability. Venomancer summons a spawn of Aktok to sink its fangs into an enemy, dealing a lot of damage actually, 40 to 100. And applying a deadly toxin which deals magical damage per second. When the target attacks, they take the initial magic damage again. So if you do it on a carry, they have to attack. Noxious Plague no longer has AoE effect, now affects only the host. Now when the plague spreads, it also carries all debuffs placed by Venomancer. So if you shoot someone with Gale, and then you ult that same person, and it spreads, the Gale will spread too. Doesn't stack. Applying Plague to an already plagued affected unit will deal projectile damage again, but won't affect the remaining debuff duration. It can't be changed by status resistance or debuff amp. It costs less mana, duration's a little shorter, initial damage went down. It's now non-lethal, the initial damage. Now spreads a second time, but all spreads after the first one deal no initial damage. Spread radius was decreased, so it's less likely to spread. Max HP is damage also went down by 1%, but now it's upgraded by Scepter. Decreases cooldown by 35, reduces magic resistance of affected units by 20%, and allows additional spreads to deal initial damage. That's a lot. That's a big old change. Viper. It looks better though. The fact that you can apply multiple debuffs with this is great. Viper. Agility gain increased by 0.2. Base attack speed went down by 10. That's rough. Base damage producing health percentage increased by 0.1. Nice. Corrosive Skin, Ag Scepter now also gradually increases Corrosive Skin's magic resistance and damage per second while he's in Nether Toxin. So they have that one where he threw himself in Nether Toxin. Visage, Silences the Grave is now innate. Gross. Gains flying movement, movement speed. Upon attacking or casting, loses both effects, but he and his familiars gain 10% attack damage for 2 seconds. Upgraded with Ag Scepter, which gives invisibility, which is what it used to do anyway. Familiars have a lower cooldown early. Their health, though, is less early. Sounds minor. Void Spirit. Base damage decreased by 4. His passive increases Void Spirit's attack damage per point of attribute by 15%. It's each attribute, too. So that's why they lowered the damage, to balance that out. Increases multiplicative. Yeah, so Void's getting a ton of damage. Void Spirit gets a ton of damage now. No more armor or magic resistance, though. That's crazy. Aether Remnant, Aghanim Shard, True Sight no longer reveals wards. So it'll still reveal heroes, but won't reveal wards, because that was lame. And they buffed the barrier on Resident. Warlock, all his imps. Minor imp health rescaled to, you know, it's all scaling on level. It just changed everything to scale level. And Aghanim Shard now increases health of minor imps by 80 and explosion damage by 45. So it's basically the same stuff. Weaver. New innate. After dealing damage to an enemy hero with an attacker ability, if Weaver remains within 700 range of them for 1.5 seconds, he establishes a thread of fate that briefly slows movement of the enemy and ties them to Weaver. Each established thread of fate grants 10% bonus damage to Weaver. Threads last up to 6 seconds and break if the distance is longer than 900. If the enemy dies with threads of fate established, the threads bonuses linger for an additional 5 seconds. Effects linger even if the enemy dies when the thread is about to be established. Movement slow is 100% for 2 seconds. So basically, Weaver slows you but takes more damage. That's what it looks like. Weird. Wind Ranger. Bonus movement speed decreased by 5 again. Tailwind. Using the ability conjures a stacking tailwind that gives Wind Ranger a brief burst of movement speed. Movement speed bonus starts gradually fading halfway through Tailwind's duration. Movement speed bonus per stack. Yeah. Passively increases Wind Runner's max movement speed to 600. So, could go really fast. Upgraded with Ags. Attacks also grant Tailwind effect. Increases Tailwind duration to 3 seconds and makes it undispellable. Windrun. Movement speed bonus decreased by 10. Cooldown decreased, though, by 1 at all levels. And no longer gets the invis from Windrun. Rough. Rough. Wyvern. New innate. Eldworm's Edda. Winter Wyvern starts the game with Eldworm's Edda item. After 10 minutes, it can be consumed, increasing the current and maximum level of the basic ability by 1. Also increases Winter Wyvern's intelligence by 25% of its base value at the time of consumption. Level 5 values are automatically calculated by applying 50% of the difference in all values between levels 3 and 4, except for the mana cost. Arctic Burn no longer has 1 debuff per cast restriction on enemy heroes. Burn duration decreased from 5 to 3 though, so it's less burn time. Movement slow also decreased tremendously at late levels 10. Cold Embrace has a shard, decreased cooldown by 4. Allied units gain 60% bonus attack damage for 6 seconds when they come out. That's cool, by the way. If like Sven goes in Cold Embrace to save him and he comes out and he BKBs, now he does like a ton of damage because 60% bonus. Alts. Attack speed rescaled, so it's always at second value. Maximum duration was rescaled, so it's in between its second and third level. Bonus duration per hero decreased by 0.5. Bonus duration per hero can now be applied after the cast if an enemy hero becomes affected. Death Ward attack range was increased by 0.2550. Wraith King. Base armor decreased by 1. Vampiric Spirit. Lifesteal change, so it scales. Bonus attack speed rescaled, so it's always in between second and third when he's in his Wraith form. Bonus movement speed rescaled, so it's always its third. So they're just they're putting a lot of abilities between their their third abilities, so they're just kind of balancing things out, so they don't get too far gone. Bone Guard. Now always a basic ability for Wraith King. Skeleton movement speed increased from 340 to 350. Mortal Strike. Ag Shard reworked. Critical strikes curse their targets, dealing 75%. Oh, okay. So now Shard brings that facet, and Bogard is the other facet. His ult eventually costs 0 naturally. Now spawns enemy hero. Now spawns 2, 3, 4 per enemy hero within slow radius. That's the skeletons, right? No longer upgrade with Shard because it doesn't need to be. Zeus, last hero. Thank God. Base strength increased by 2. Base damage increased by 1 to 3. That means minimum maximum. Base movement speed decreased by 5. No, 10. Sorry. 10. Big deal. Base armor decreased by 1. Static field. Damage changed, so it scales. Arc lightning costs more early. Base damage goes up early. Lightning Bolt, vision and true sight radius increased by 100 so it can see better. Thunder God's Wrath now applies the true sight before the damage and strikes even untargetable and still invisible enemies. That is crazy. Same vision thing. Now Nimbus, the target's the caster, so if you blade mail, it'll hurt Zeus. Wow. I hate this new Thunder God's Wrath. Now, one thing I do think, it is lame that, like, if someone is invis, it wouldn't hit them, considering that Lightning Bolt gives vision. So that I agree with. That's fine. That's not my problem. There's a lot of abilities that, based on distance, do not hit smoked targets. Assassinate's a good example. If you're assassinated and you're far away from sniper, you can smoke and you don't get hit. Because even though it's a targeted ability, it requires vision of a sort. So there's a difference between being out of vision, which just means you can't be seen, invis, and hidden. Hidden includes Smoke of Deceit, Dark Willow, Shadow Realm, those sorts of things. I don't like it hitting hidden. That is the only issue I take. That's it. Even if you wanted to make an exception and say it hits Smoke, whatever. It should not hit Slark in ult. It should not hit Dark Willow either. That's like weird, right? That's my only complaint. The rest of it's fine. Hitting invis, yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes a ton of sense because it reveals anyway. Why would it reveal but not hit? So I would give a summary of this patch, my friends, but I'm going to be honest. It is so massive, I don't even know where to begin with a summary, right? I will give a soft summary. Like the softest of summaries. 5 minutes or less. So, biggest changes, our games should be shorter. No facets. Tormentor is stronger. New items. Not sure where they're going to fall in. No idea. Jungle items will be more predictable. And a couple heroes that I really care about that I think are going to, like, change. Arc Warden is going to be played a lot. Bane's going to be played a lot. Crystal Maid will be played a lot. Dawnbreaker will probably be played a lot, too. Oh, Death Prophet will be played a lot. Disruptor will be played more. Doom will be played more. Faceless Lord will probably be played again. Maybe. Maybe. You'll never see Huskar again. He's gone. Bye. Jakiro looking sweet. Might be played. Not sure. Not sure. Lena's looking really good. She'll probably come into your mid lane coming soon. I think those are the bigger ones. Nothing else seems like to stand out to me where it was like, oh my gosh. Oh, Necro. Necro is going to be in your games with this Reaper Scythe extra damage, and he's going to ruin it for you. He's going to ruin all of those games, and it's going to be awful. Oh, and Oracle's broken. Oracle is probably the biggest change in the entire patch, and he is going, besides Facets not being in the game, he is broken beyond broken. Best character in the game. I am predicting it now, within about a week to a week and a half, Oracle is going to skyrocket in win rate. And he was already not bad. Skyrocket. Crazy that he has those abilities. Yeah, I think those are the bigger ones. I think anybody else is like minor changes. So, appreciate you guys for watching. I'll see you all next time.